All right. Another Saturday night. Shoot the breeze. I want to thank everyone who is already here. I see Daily Affirmations by Pauline is out there saying good evening. Good evening to you too. I want to thank everyone who will show up tonight on the panel and in the chat. I also want to thank you guys who will be checking out the show in the replay. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure to drop a comment. And for you guys during the live stream, drop comments as well. Right? So thank you all for being here. Pro Black Perspective. That's Oni. He's out there in the chat as well. You know what I like to do. I like to come on at the beginning of the show. I am a few minutes late, so I'll keep it brief. I want to tell you guys what we have in store tonight. Of course, we will be talking about the coup going on in Niger. We'll talk about how France is preparing airstrikes. We're going to talk about Republicans getting a spine and standing up. I assume that's Black Republicans. We're going to talk about some expectations, if they're unrealistic or realistic expectations on men. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about propaganda. Is propaganda being used to divide Black people, or is it being used to unite us? I had a comment on an old video came up, I think, this morning. And the guy says it was a shake on the joke video. And the guy says, or the person commenting saying, oh no, Black folks shouldn't engage in propaganda, in lies and whatever. White people don't do it. And I have to respond like, yeah, white people push lies called propaganda all the time. Think the IQ test, for example, right? We're also going to be talking about intelligent life, extraterrestrial intelligent life on Earth. We're talking about Haiti. This is a follow-up to last week's conversation on traitors. We're going to talk about Haiti for a bit too, and the sons of white men and the lie of reparations. So that's what we have in store tonight. RBG, Real Black Gentleman, is saying what's up. So what's up to RBG? Make sure you guys hit the like button, share the show on social media. It should be a good discussion as it usually is. What I'll do now is I'll start the show officially, and on the other side I will drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1. So stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think Black people acquired too much buy-in.
Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cassidra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The 4Kast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as, like, your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another episode of the Shoot the Breeze segment of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I want to thank everyone who's here. I want to thank a couple of the panelists that have joined us tonight already. Let me throw it to Oni. Oni, how are you this week?
I'm cool. Just chilling. How's you, man?
I'm hanging in there. Thanks for coming through. Buana, how are you this week?
I'm good, brother. I really wasn't expecting to hear from you this week in lieu of what happened, and it's good that you're on, brother. It's good that you came on to do the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. We laid her to rest on Thursday, so that's why I'm here. With that said, thanks to all of you who did send me well wishes after the show was over. So I appreciate all of you for it. Hopefully we'll have just as good a show this week as we had in weeks prior. Should the Breeze topic number one tonight? Let me just get right into it. Should the Breeze topic number one is the coup in Niger, good or bad for Africa? Of course, this comes with a link that takes us to Twitter. Let me share my screen with you guys. This should be it. Oh no, maybe it doesn't take us to Twitter. I'm sorry. Is this right? No. I'm messing up. Hold on. It does take us to Twitter. Here's this tweet by JP. Right, make sure you guys can see it. Here's this tweet by JP. That says they don't give a damn about democracy. It's a 2-minute video. I'll play it twice. We'll watch it, then we'll discuss.
So in case you missed the news, Niger has had a military coup, and I'm letting you know right now, before all the Western media tells you they want democracy back in Niger, let me tell you the real reason for this coup and why not all coups are created equally. This is Mohamed Bazoum, the former or current, depending on how you look at it, president of Niger. As you can see, he's a little bit cozy with Emmanuel Macron. This is important, and we're going to talk about it in a sec. You see, Macron is actually the president of France, and 70% of France's electricity comes from nuclear power. Niger is the fourth largest producer of uranium in the world, and guess who predominantly mines their uranium? A French company called Areva. Guess whose company provides most of the nuclear power to France? Areva. Now, despite Niger basically being a French colony, their president basically being a puppet of Macron in France, only 1 in 7 people who live in Niger have power, despite the majority of their number one resource, which provides power, going to France basically for free. So because of the president's loyalty to Macron and unwillingness to fight for Nigerians, people in Niger literally can't keep their lights on if they've ever had lights at all. While France plunders Niger for its natural resources. And you're going to have plenty of Western media people and leaders from the Western world coming out and say they want democracy in Niger. But let's not forget, this is the same U.S. and France that overthrew Gaddafi in Libya, and we literally have open market slavery in Libya right now in 2023, and they haven't done anything about it because they don't care about democratically elected individuals unless they play for the team of the United States, France, and NATO. And you hear this talk of sanctions, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how much more can you sanction them? You're literally taking everything they have already, which is why the coup even happened. But I digress. All calls for Western involvement in Niger are only driven by profiteering and plundering. They don't give a damn about democracy. And if they did, they wouldn't be in the situation in Niger to begin with.
All right, let's watch that one more time.
So in case you missed the news, Niger has had a military coup, and I'm letting you know right now, before all the Western media tells you they want democracy back in Niger, let me tell you the real reason for this coup and why not all coups are created equally. This is Mohamed Bazoum, the former or current, depending on how you look at it, president of Niger. As you can see, he's a little bit cozy with Emmanuel Macron. This is important, and we're going to talk about it in a sec. You see, Macron is actually the president of France, and 70% of France's electricity comes from nuclear power. Niger is the fourth largest producer of uranium in the world, and guess who predominantly mines their uranium? A French company called Areva. Guess whose company provides most of the nuclear power to France? Areva. Now, despite Niger basically being a French colony, their president basically being a puppet of Macron in France, only 1 in 7 people who live in Niger have power, despite the majority of their number one resource, which provides power, going to France basically for free. So because of the president's loyalty to Macron and unwillingness to fight for Nigerians, people in Niger literally can't keep their lights on if they've ever had lights at all. While France plunders Niger for its natural resources. And you're going to have plenty of Western media people and leaders from the Western world coming out and say they want democracy in Niger. But let's not forget, this is the same U.S. and France that overthrew Gaddafi in Libya, and we literally have open market slavery in Libya right now in 2023, and they haven't done anything about it because they don't care about democratically elected individuals unless they play for the team of the United States, France, and NATO. And you hear this talk of sanctions, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how much more can you sanction them? You're literally taking everything they have already, which is why the coup even happened. But I digress. All calls for Western involvement in Niger are only driven by profiteering and plundering. They don't give a damn about democracy. And if they did, they wouldn't be in the situation in Niger to begin with.
All right, so let me see if there was more to this post. Seems not. So let me switch it over to someone else posted on the Discord, how France is mounting or getting ready to do an airstrike. So let's look at this link that came along from the BBC. It says Niger coup, a litmus test for democracy in West Africa. President Bola Tinubu, who is at the helm of regional superpower Nigeria, regards the coup across the border in Niger as a litmus test for democracy in West Africa. Having assumed the chairmanship of regional bloc ECOWAS. A mere 3 weeks ago, he was confronted with a major foreign policy challenge when the military seized power in Niger, a strategic ally in the fight against militant Islamists wreaking havoc across much of West Africa. Mr. Tinubu had raised concerns about the coup in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea when he rose to Nigeria's presidency in May, saying ECOWAS needed to strengthen its regional force to prevent further coups and to fight the militants. So when Niger's president, Mohamed Bazoum, was overthrown by his presidential guards last week, he responded swiftly by convening a summit of West African leaders at his presidential villa on Sunday. The regional bloc agreed to impose sanctions on Niger. This has led to electricity blackouts in Niger's capital, Niamey, and other major cities as Nigeria has cut off supplies, according to Niger's power company. ECOWAS also gave an ultimatum to Niger's junta, hand back power to the elected president within a week, or ECOWAS will take, quote, all measures necessary to restore constitutional order, end of quote. Such measures may include the use of force, and military chiefs were to meet immediately, their statement added. Though Mr. Tinubu's own victory in February's presidential election is being challenged in the courts by opposition candidates who claim the result was rigged, he styles himself as a Democrat who took part in the campaign against military rule in Nigeria in the 1980s. Quote, I think he sees the coup as an affront to his democratic credentials, particularly at a time when he is holding the chairmanship of ECOWAS, said Wole Ajewale, a Nigerian analyst with the Institute for Security Studies. More crucially, the coup has a direct bearing on Nigeria. The two countries share a border which stretches more than 1,500 kilometers or 930 miles. And they have strong cultural and trade ties that date back to the pre-colonial era when a chunk of both were part of the Sokoto Caliphate. Their security is also intertwined. Military Islamist group Boko Haram has carried out attacks on both countries with a military force made up of troops from Nigeria, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon fighting them. The force's strategic and technical partners include the UK, US, and France, with the latter two having military bases in Niger. While Niger accounted for about 4% of global uranium output in 2022, it is the world's seventh largest producer of uranium and has the highest grade uranium ore in Africa. Neither ECOWAS nor its Western partners would want the radioactive material used in both civilian and military settings to fall into the wrong hands in a region where militant Islamicists are active, and Russia and the Wagner mercenary group are expanding their influence. After their coups, Mali and Burkina Faso pivoted towards Russia, with the junta in Niger giving the impression that it could move in the same direction. Chad's leader, Mohamed Idris Deby, who was put in power by his own army after his father was killed by rebel forces in 2021, went to Niger on Sunday to urge the junta to heed ECOWAS's ultimatum. Chad is not a member of the regional bloc, but Mr. Deby attended this meeting earlier on Sunday. As a military strongman, he was seen as ideally placed to strike a rapport with the coup leaders and to urge them to step down. But the junta has so far refused. Instead, it has stepped up its rhetoric against both the West and ECOWAS and thousands of its supporters took to the streets of Niger's capital, Niamey, on Sunday to back the coup. Some of them attacked the French embassy and waved pro-Russian flags. But it is unclear whether the military takeover has majority support in Niger. more than half of its citizens were satisfied with the way democracy worked in their country, according to a 2022 survey. Only Tanzania, Zambia, Sierra Leone, and Mauritania had a better democratic approval of the 36 African countries surveyed. However, 2/3 of those surveys said that the military men could intervene when elected leaders abuse power. This is an argument that those who mount coups, as well as their supporters, often make in order to justify their actions. The juntas in Mali and Burkina Faso have warned ECOWAS against military intervention in Niger, saying that it would be a declaration of war, and they would go defend their fellow coup leaders. So military intervention risks snowballing into a full-scale conflict. However, ECOWAS has previously sent troops to numerous countries, including Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, and the Gambia, either to help the civil wars, reinstate deposed presidents, or to force out leaders who refuse to accept electoral defeat. These interventions were in accordance with its mandate to maintain, quote, peace, stability, and security within the region, though its troops were also accused in some instances of human rights abuses. I'm going to end there. I think we get the idea. So, with that said, once again, Shoot the Breeze topic number one is the coup in Niger, good or bad for Africa. I'll be very interested to see the comments in the chat. KW7 is here, and he commented, the mulatto president of Niger has to go. We have already read Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Yeah, the mulatto problem. With that said, Buana, what say you to the goings-on in Niger, etc.?
Yeah, it's not just Niger. It's Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and another country, African country. Right now, West Africa is almost in a powder keg situation that really could spread all throughout Africa. In truth, all throughout Africa. But it'll be too long to go into all the different kind of moving parts that's happening within this particular conflict. So I'll just try to be brief with certain points. It's interesting though how the BBC talks about Tinubu now as this democratically elected person, whereas when he was running for office, they get into all kind of vagaries as to who he was prior to him running for president. That's interesting. That's very interesting. But I think it's good and bad. And I think it's good because, as we always discuss on the panel, some African leaders need to be removed. People who have been seen as wanting. This particular situation, you see the energy or the resources, the mineral resources that they are able to extract out of these countries, back to their home country in France, is into the billions and billions of dollars. And while the president of Niger is wealthy, having meetings with the president, eating good food, the people from Niger are very poor. Same as Burkina Faso, same as Mali as well. Many of these so-called leaders need to be removed. And they created this organization called ECOWAS. Economics. I can't remember the whole terminology for the ECOWAS name, but I know they are West African countries, and I think Tinubu heads it up in Nigeria, and he is a person who is also France associated. He is really following his paymasters in France. There are the people in the Niger and Burkina Faso and Mali. They are trying to go for self. They're saying France don't need to be in our country. We need to read the resort. And I've been listening to Africans talk about this particular issue in these areas. We need to have a right to self-determination, and we're going to do what we need to do. So if you're all coming on the behest of, if ECOWAS say they're gonna take military intervention into these countries, if you're all coming, we're going to leave the light on for y'all. You know what I mean? So, because we ain't going to just sit down and accept y'all coming into our country at the behest of other people and just to take our resources and replace the same puppets who've been there all along to do the same things that we're doing. We ain't willing to do that. We ain't willing to do that. So it is what it is, you know. And when I hear sometimes when xenophobes talk about, when they're talking about black immigrants, so you all need to go back to your home country and fix your country. Well, this is the situation where we try to fix the country, remove these people who they put in place, their countries put in place, and try to get some semblance of equity going. And then when you try to do that, what happens? What happens? You get attacked. So when they come into your country, steal your markets, economic markets, something, your natural resources, take it back to their home countries and use it for their own interests. And then you have black immigrants coming looking for their markets. They come in from their home countries looking for the resources you all and take away. You all tell them to go back and fix the country. Well, we attempted to do it now. We attempted to do it now by any means necessary. Now everybody in uproar and say, well, you all need to back down and be quiet and accept, return the puppet who been in office, running this country for how many years and ain't giving the people them nothing. It's not going to happen that way, especially among the young Africans. You know what I mean? Especially among the young Africans. So it's really almost like a powder keg situation, because now you have external forces in the form of France and the Americas and Britain and Canada and everyone else. And then you have the people who are trying to be revolutionary. They're gonna need military support and intervention as well. Where are they gonna go? They're gonna go to places like Russia. They're gonna go to the enemies of these Western countries. So all that's gonna be brewing in West Africa. And then you have then you have other Africans who watching this from a distance and say, nah, you can't take advantage of my brothers them like that, you know. We're gonna get in there. We're gonna get in it. So it's almost like a real powder keg situation that's happening. Now, my issue is when I say it's bad for Africa is usually the military, when they replace the so-called leaders who've been in office, they have no ideological leanings. And the ideas of these generals who probably would replace them, they are Muslims. A lot of these guys, they Muslims, they religious oriented, or they just don't know how to run countries. So now you have another problem on your hand. You have another problem in your hand, because I don't think that military people should run countries. I think they should protect countries, but not run countries. You know, so and that's not necessarily worked out in the best way. Look at Museveni in Uganda. You know what I mean? He for all intents and purposes, he became a Western puppet after he overthrew the last leader there. I think the only two real military men when they took office after in a coup was the brother from Ghana, Rawlins and Sankara. And even though Sankara is a Marxist, he did something good for his country as well as a military man. But when you usually see military men come and in terms of creating coups, the country is still not run correctly, because these brothers, they militarily inclined, not necessarily, they don't understand how to necessarily govern a country. And then it's just a whole hodgepodge of things is going on right now. But I feel like it's a powder keg situation. Do I feel like some of these people should be removed from office? Absolutely. But what is going to replace them should be something that is going to be progressive for the people that have to exist within these countries. And I don't necessarily know if military men is the answer for it. I don't know. But I'll stop there.
Yeah, ECOWAS is the Economic Community of West African States, by the way. KW7 says the xenophobes are neophytes when it comes to geopolitics. They are not at the grown-ups table. They remain in the high chair. Well, that's a really well-stated comment there, KW7. Thank you for that. Oni, is the coup in Niger good or bad for Africa?
Oh, it's very good. But it's very good. But you know, I want to say something. Not a long time ago, but a while back, somebody made a post somewhere, and they were like, you know, I always see Jamaican men in a certain way, and they were kind of like, you know, talking shit about Jamaicans. But I realized, right? Well, I realized a while back when we talk about the xenophobes in America, right? the xenophobes in America would say, "Oh man, these people in Africa, they would call us a kata, or they would do this, and look at what they're doing over here." And like almost all the times, they would always point to Nigeria, And then when you look at South Africa, people would say, "Yo, they're xenophobes because look how they treat other African groups." And you look at who the other African groups are, and it was the Yahoo boys. You know what I'm saying? It was the Nigerians. It was whatever the area code is. And then when I realized, like, sometimes, like, the people who might be beefing with me or beefing with a lot of Pan-Africanists, generally, right? It's almost always Nigerians. And I started to peep game. And for a while, I was thinking, you know what? The three people who most against, like, if you go by nationality, the three people most against Pan-Africanism, especially online, you'll see the African Americans, you'll see the Nigerians, and you'll see the Somalians, right? But Somalia got its own reason. You get what I'm saying? I realized African Americans and Nigerians, the two largest English-speaking, two of the largest English-speaking Black populations. Obviously, African Americans are the largest in the Western Hemisphere, and Nigerians are the largest in the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Those two populations, almost always the most anti-Pan-African populations out there. So what happened with the Niger coup is the Niger coup is necessary. Like Barna just said, when we talk about getting rid of these Ascabi, when we talk about getting rid of the traitors, we're talking about getting rid of the traitors. And see, Nigeria embarrassed me last year. No, not last year, 2 years ago. I remember I was talking to this lady, the sister. The sister was nice. She was actually she was a Nigerian, but she was nice. She was into Nigerian politics. And she was like, man, after this guy Buhari done shot these Nigerians, oh boy, man, ain't no way he gonna get reelected, right? Now, of course, he wasn't running again, but the idea was that Tinubu would be basically him running again, right? So the idea is that, Tinubu won't win, and Obi's gonna win, and everybody was talking about Obi. This man Tinubu straight up stole the election in 4K. In 4 effing K. And people were like, yo, if Obi don't win, we're going to riot. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Nothing. And so at that point in time, when I saw that because I'm going to tell you, I saw it in 4K. Like, people were sending me videos like, yo, look at this, man. This guy just walks up to the ballot box, takes it and runs off, scatters the ballots. This guy was walking up, like a group of people just walked up with guns and told everybody, stop, hold it, and took the ballots away in 4K. Okay? Nobody did anything. They just said, okay, Tinubu, you're the president now. Right? No challenge, no nothing. And so you like, what's wrong with these people? Because they were talking all this shit. Man, I'll tell you, man, if Obi don't win, it's gonna be it. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Nothing. No sound, no peep. And I was like, look, you know what? I don't even care. I realize Nigeria gets what it gets. But see, now that Nigeria is attacking other countries, because that's the thing that, I don't know if you mentioned that, but essentially the KWAZ thing, the president of KWAZ is Tinubu. So the election in Nigeria wasn't just about Nigeria. It was about all of West Africa. Okay? And the fact that now this president is able to, is trying to rally different African nations, including Senegal, to attack another African country. And remember, this is an economics group, right? Because they're trying to attack another country, you got to say to yourself, look, we as Pan-Africanists, we should be writing off the Americans and the Nigerians. You understand? Because, and especially Nigeria, because I realized, I saw this comment a while back. The guy was like, man, these Jamaicans, they're the problem. And you're like, first off, who says that? Nobody says that, right? He's like, man, them Nigerians, they just so. He's like, them Jamaicans so arrogant and so thing. And you're like, nobody says this. What? But everybody, like I'm telling you, you go to South Africa, they talking about Nigerians. You go to this, they talk about Nigerians. You go to America, the whole ADOS movement, 9 times out of 10, they talking shit about Nigerians. And we just making it seem like they talking about African people. They only saying African people because that's the only African people they know. You know? But obviously, Burkina Faso ain't got nothing, ain't troubling no African American, no way. Ain't trying to compete with African Americans, no way. You know? Ain't doing no scams, nothing. Right? I'm saying that, yeah, the Niger coup was brilliant. I love it. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. My issue is Nigeria not only trying to turn against Africa, turn against Niger. That's and the fact that we're pretending like everybody else sees it. But we ignore it. Like I said, like even if we go backtrack, we say, hey, who are the people that really have beef with Odie? Almost all of them Nigerian. And why? Because Odie's a Pan-African. And you know, somebody actually did. I'll just say this: someone did a post where they said, they said, you know, they were talking about Nigeria. They were like, you know what? People say Nigerians got the best education, you know, the most highly educated, so on and so forth. And it's like, he's like, but that's the most highly miseducated people. And if you think about the miseducation of the Negro on the American side and the miseducation in Nigeria, right? You begin to see, look, there is actually a problem. So nowadays, because before I used to say, people say, hey man, what about this whole, you know, dissolution of, you know, of Nigeria? You know, what if Nigeria is split into different countries, blah, 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 blah. Let it split, because this shit is that something wrong over there. That's all I'm gonna say.
I appreciate that, Oni. Yeah, I think I remember that comment about Jamaicans actually. Trigabi 262 says Nigeria is a case study of a Lugata state in its most evolved stage. The combination of multiple groups that do not coexist and a high-level domestication through Christianity. KW Don 7 said, support what the enemy opposes. This is a quote. And oppose what the enemy supports. That's Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Earlier, Trigger Happy said a coup is either for the people or it's Western back. The resistance against this coup by many Western blocs tells you everything you need to know. With that said, I want to welcome in an old friend of the show. I haven't seen him here in a while. Kevin Kare, how are you this week?
I'm good. I'm just been in the background paying attention. As I said, I'm not a geopolitical scientist, but I'm loving what's going on. I support that coup. I support it. You know, these countries are getting ripped off by these Western European countries. You know, I just saw a video where I think the old Burkina Faso president is being humiliated in front of his people. You know, the students are asking Macron, you know, why the electricity is always out in our universities. Like, oh, well, French is not the we don't colonize this country anymore. You should go ask your president. He was just so arrogant about it. You know, it was just time, you know, that this happened. This is great. Get these people out of our country. Why are they taking the resources for free and the people are suffering? But I'll pass though. But yeah.
I think Macron actually humiliated him. Yeah, and he walked away. He walked off. He said, Macron was like, yeah, he's going to go fix the AC right now. You know, so he just basically called him a boy type thing. You know, real interesting, man. Does anyone else have any further comments on this topic?
I find it just interesting, you know, how. By the way, what's up, Kev? It's a long time, brother. Long time.
Yeah, I'm back, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. It's good to hear your voice. Yeah. Like I was saying, I find it interesting how so many France has a hold on so many different African countries to this day, and I would have thought that they would have at least tried to at least relinquish some of the hold that the France government had over African countries, but it seemed like the Africans are trying to hold on to France. It seems like the Africans it seems like let me say some Africans are trying to hold on to the French coattails and saying, "No, daddy, don't leave us, don't leave us alone by ourselves. We can't do it without you, daddy." You know, it's like, and then you have some Africans from francophone countries and saying, "My F these guys, you know, down with France. They need to go." So it just seems interesting in terms of the push and pull that's going on in Africa. Like I say, I believe it's a powder keg situation, and I really don't want it to escalate. But I could see where it's actually gonna go. I hope it doesn't though. I really hope so.
Mr. Toronto, it's a new world we're in. As I said, I've just been the last few months that I had to take a break. I was just kind of mentally overwhelmed with just the observation of where the world is going. It's like you're seeing like the world is just going back to what it was. It's like countries are just nationalizing. You know, look at Europe; it's going full right wing. Look at what happened in Italy. You know, look at this idiot over here in America, DeSantis. I'm glad he's not up in the polls, but it's just going very far right at this point. You know, I don't blame these people for what's going on, but Koku, the one thing too I gotta look at in the background we gotta look at is Russia. You know, it's nice that they're helping, but what's their ulterior motive here? You know, and this Wagner group too.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I do understand though that, you know, sometimes the enemies of your enemy is your friend. But I don't want Africans to put all their eggs in a Russian basket or a Chinese basket, you know.
Can I ask you this though? Someone made a good point to me early in the week. You think they're pulling a Toussaint where they're bringing in all these guys for their resources and end up kicking them out in the end?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's what's happening, but I hope that is what's happening. I do hope.
I would say this though about the Russian thing. Well, one, you know, I mean, the reality of the Russian thing is this, right? It's kind of like that song Ghostbusters, right? Who you gonna call? You know what I'm saying? Nigeria is priming to invade Niger. Okay? Nigeria actually cut off the electricity to Niger. You understand? Niger is not in a position to fight Nigeria. In fact, the Nigerians were proudly boasted about, man, our military is so much bigger than this, blah, 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 blah. The thing is this, Nigeria is not bragging about being bigger military than Russia. Now, you might say, well, I don't think you should call Russia. But that's where it's kind of like the situation where, you know, somebody does some fuck shit to you in your house, right? You could handle it, but sometimes the person that does the fuck shit, you probably can't handle it. So I'm not saying that I would personally call the police, but I completely understand if somebody calls the police in a situation where they can't hold it themselves. You know what I mean? I don't like that. But at the same time, I don't know what people really expect Niger to do if Russia, one, if Nigeria, one, is cooling, heavy cooling. Two, talking about invading them. Three, already cut off their electricity. Four, the citizens of Nigeria, like I said, high cooling. They talking about we should starve them. Okay? We should starve them. We should cut off their food. We should do this and so forth. We should bomb them. We should do aerial stuff. Blah, 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 blah. The people in Nigeria are looking for blood. For what reason? I have no idea. You understand? I'm already at that point where I'm like, you know what? I think Nigerians are like I don't even like I know maybe like two good Nigerians, real talk. You know what I'm saying? Not two, maybe like four or something. But like most Nigerians ain't it, right? But that said, yeah, I mean, I agree with the idea. Look, I don't like. I'm not gonna say I don't like Russians, right? But I'm gonna say if I was in the position, if I was just a new leader, just came into power, just got my people free, and then another country could turn off my lights, another country, so on and so forth, and then there's this country, there's a European country that's like, hey, you know what? I can handle that for you, right? If I say, nah, fuck you, I'll handle this myself. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to die. You know what's going to happen to this cool leader who's a good man? Actually, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if but anyway. But like, you know what's going to happen to this cool leader? if the original president is restored? You understand? You're just gonna have it to all these military men if the original president is restored? You know? I mean, of course they're not supposed to play with fire, but they already playing with fire. And I think Maurice Bishop said it best. He said the first rule of the revolution is the revolution must continue. You know? But you know, that's all I'm saying. I don't want to seem like, hey, you know what? I would say that these people had a tough choice, but at the same time, it's like you know, it's kind of like if you are in the water and a white boy throws you a raft, you know, not a raft, but a lifesaver, right? You know, like, okay, you got like, do you take the lifesaver or do you say, fuck you, white boy, I don't need your lifesaver? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'll say, even like for me, I'll say it this way. Like sometimes I think about them zombie apocalypse shit. Now I don't think it's real or nothing, like whatever. But I know that in the event of a zombie apocalypse, if black folk don't have their shit together, and it looks like black folk don't have their shit together, a lot of black people get into the position where they have to start begging white folk who have their shit together. You understand? And of course, a lot of those black folk get gunned down like idiots because you should have been preparing. But I can't hold it against these new cool leaders for not having their shit together because they was in power for a week. That's what I'm saying.
If I was,
wait,
go ahead,
you were
brother,
saying
go
about
ahead.
zombie apocalypse. That one happened yesterday in Union Square. It was a big one in Union Square yesterday.
Wait, what happened?
Repeat that, Kevin Bakari.
Oh, you talking about the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, there was a big zombie apocalypse yesterday in Union Square.
Buona?
Yeah, if I was those brothers in Niger right now, and I knew that these guys was knocking at my door, coming to put back the same president who been doing a bunch of shit forever, I would put a bullet in his head. And all of the people who I know, you know, who would probably be his generals and the people who would be inclined to replace him, and say, y'all sort it out now. Since y'all gonna kick, because if they don't do that, all of them gonna die. All of them. You know what I mean? So you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. You damned if you do. So if you say that you coming in to replace the president, since I have possession over the president right now, his house is surrounded, I would put a bullet in his head and everyone who was backing him on his presidency. So if you kill me, you have to replace everybody, and then you don't know really who is who. You don't know who is who. You know what I mean? So if we lose, it have to be a zero-sum game all around. Nobody wins. You know, scorched earth. That's what I would do. That's what I would. I don't know if these brothers would do it, but that's what I would do. Because it's no way if you replace this, if the Nigerians along with other West African countries ECOWAS comes and invade that country and put the last president back in power, it's no way that president is gonna allow these people to remain alive. That's not gonna happen in Africa. If it does, it's an unprecedented thing. They're not gonna live. So I mean, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. I would get rid of him. So if you fight for him to come back to power, he's no longer here. So you gotta deal with us. And if you want to deal with us, you gotta find some group you don't even know about that who are people from the nation, people from the Niger, and you don't really know who's who. You don't know who their alliances are. You're gonna have to do some background checks and all of that. I don't know if you want to go through all of that, but that's what I would do in that particular circumstance.
In the chat, Trigger Happy 262 reminds me of this incident that I saw about maybe like a month ago. He said I wanted to bring a STB topic about this, but there was an Islamic group in IFE who confronted IFE people to not do their festival. Yeah, I saw that, Trigger. They threatened this particular woman who I think is to run the festival, told her that she can't do it, etc., etc. I think only want to say something, but you have to keep it very brief. I want to move on to the next topic.
No, I ain't saying nothing.
Oh, okay. Someone sounded like they were saying something. In any event, Good discussion. Let's keep an eye on it. Shout out to The4Kast, who's out there in the chat. Shout out to The4Kast. Make sure you check out his show. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2. Let's monitor this situation. We could bring it back up again next week and weeks to come. Or Shoot the Breeze. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 is when Republicans get a spine and stand up. This is an interesting one. When Republicans get a spine and stand up. This comes with a YouTube link. We're going to play about 12 minutes of it, and then we'll discuss.
Be back with another interesting video. Now, I just want to give a disclaimer, man, because the other day I was accused of being a Democrat, socialist, liberal, you know what I mean, a communist, Marxist. When if you listen to my content, you know, bro, I'm the farthest thing from anything on the left. You know, I have nothing in common with the left. I do not identify with the left. But just because I do not identify with the left, that does not mean that I'm jumping head first into the right. No. My loyalty lies with only 2 things: my race and my family. That's the only thing I'm faithful to. I'm not faithful to a political party. I'm not faithful to a religion. I'm faithful to my family, my race, and my ancestors. That's it. But today, man, we got a very interesting topic, man. Now, you know, on my channel, we've been going back and forth about, you know, the alleged benefits of slavery. You know, I'm not entertaining none of that shit, man. Listen, I done read too many written accounts of people who actually, you know, went through slavery for me to ever entertain the notion of there being a benefit. Now, I know that slavery was different in different colonies, right? You see, the Spanish had a way of doing things. The Portuguese had a way of doing things. The French had a way of doing things. The British had a way of doing things, right? Now, we know that slavery in the Caribbean was especially brutal, right? I believe the lifespan of a slave in the Caribbean, it was like, what, 2-3 years? When it came to the sugar plantations in the Caribbean, bro, within about 24, 36 months, you pretty much be dead. So, you know, we don't ever talk about the benefits of slavery down there, because we know niggas wasn't even living long to have no goddamn benefits. Niggas was gonna die in like 30 months. But in the United States, it's a little different though. In the United States, they make slavery seem like it was an internship, an apprenticeship, you know what I mean? Like it was a job program, like it was summer camp. They really make it sound like niggas in North America had it good, boy. You know what I mean? They make it sound like niggas in North America was kicking their feet up, you know what I'm saying? Watching Netflix, doing their thing, you know, working 9 to 5, coming back home, making dinner, you know. They make it seem like North America had it the best. I don't get it, bro. Nowhere else do they try to, you know, sanitize the history. Everybody else in the Caribbean and in Latin America, they acknowledge, yeah, them folks, they was wilding out on them Africans. Well, besides the Spanish-speaking colonies, we know the Spanish-speaking colonies, you know, they integrated their slaves into their societies and they were not known to be as brutal. But even then, they don't really talk about the benefits of slavery. But in North America, there's this like constant effort to not only sanitize the historical record, but also to clean it up and actually make it seem like there was actually some benefits, you know. But anyways, and today we're going to talk about some of these Republican congressmen, right? Some of these Republican politicians, these black Republicans. Some of the black Republicans have actually spoken out about it. And on this video, we're going to look at some of the reactions they got, you know, because the Republican Party, they make it seem like we are the free thinkers, right? We are the party of free speech. You know, Second Amendment rights. We are Americans. You know, the Constitution gave us free speech. You know, freedom, liberty, democracy. That's what they, you know, posture themselves to be. But I told you on my channel, them niggas is no different than the left, right? If you do not agree, if you do not regurgitate the company lines, you will be ostracized. You will be publicly shamed. You will be publicly humiliated. You will be seen as an outsider, a turncoat, a traitor. It is similar to a cult, right? You can't be a free-thinking black man for real on the right or the left, because the left, they're going to throw a bunch of labels on you. You transphobic, you homophobic, you a bigot, you this, that, and third. But on the right, they're going to say you a traitor, you a liberal, you a Democrat, you this, that, and third. It's all the same bullshit, my nigga. It's all the same bullshit. That's why I told you, I'm only loyal to my family, my race, and my ancestors. Everybody else, you can suck my dick. Now, let's get into it, man. Take a look up on the screen. We got Byron Donalds. I believe this is a black Republican politician, and he said this: the new African-American standards in Florida are good, robust, and accurate. That being said, the attempt to feature the personal benefits of slavery is wrong and needs to be adjusted. That obviously was not the goal, and I have faith that the Florida Department of Education will correct this. Now, listen, the brother did not disrespect anybody. You know, he was speaking like a diplomat. He was speaking like a politician. He was articulate. He was concise. He was to the point. He was respectful. He wasn't rambunctious. He didn't curse. He didn't offend anybody. He did not target anybody. So logically speaking, right, the party of the free thinkers and the free speech, he should be accepted for his beliefs, right? As an American citizen. You know, I'm not going to call him a black man. I'm not going to call him a black man because I know men like him. He don't want to be called a black man. He's an American. So as an American, you know, a citizen of the greatest nation in the world, as he would say, he should be entitled to his opinion, right? And his opinion should be respected, right? As an American. Now, let's see the reactions that he got on social media. Let's see. Let's go. This lady said, it didn't take long for you to sell out, did it? Damn, bro. Sell out for what? Damn. Wait, I'm a black man. How is a white woman going to tell a black man that you selling out? Bitch, you a white woman. Who the fuck are you telling me as a black man I'm selling out? See, that's why I can't get down with this party, bro. I can't get down with this shit. I can't imagine a world where a white woman is telling me that I'm a sellout because of my position on my own history. This is crazy. See, I can't get down with that shit, bro. I can't get down with no bullshit like that, man. For one thing, I'm not used to people telling me what to do, you know, especially not no white person. You know, I never worked for a white man a day in my life. You know, thank God for that. So I'm not used to white people telling me what to do. I'm not used to white people rebuking me. So I don't understand how y'all black Republicans be doing it, man. White folks just rebuking y'all like y'all some children and shit. I'm not used to it, bro. I'm not used to that shit at all, bro. I'm not used to that shit at all. That's why neither side really appeals to me, because on the Democrat side, you know, the only archetype of black man they accept is the intersectional, the globalist, you know, we are the world type black man, the homosexual black man. And on the right, you know, you basically got to be a spineless black man. You got to be a spineless jellyfish, never raise your voice, never voice any displeasure or disagreement. You know, you got to go along to get along. You got to keep your mouth shut. And when you do open your mouth, you got to speak in a humble tone. I'm a black man before anything. That's my number one title before anything. I'm a black man. And that's an honorable title to me. That's an honorable title. All them other titles don't mean shit to me. Democrat, Republican, Christian, Muslim, Haitian, Caribbean. I'm a black man before anything. Number one. You see this brother right here, he is a Republican before he's a black man. That's why that lady told him, you selling out. That's why them white folks is rebuking him, because he's not a black man. He's a Republican before anything. And that's why he deserves everything that he gets. Now, let's continue. Take a look up on the screen. This person said, you need to turn in your GOP card and go stand with Kamala Harris. Wow. GOP card. I thought, like I said, bro, these dudes ain't black men. You know what I mean? She didn't say go turn in your black card, go turn in your black man card. She said, turn in your GOP card, which means if you ain't going along to get along, if you ain't down for the ride, if you ain't sitting in the back seat shutting the fuck up, then turn in your GOP card. You ain't down with the squad. You ain't down with the team. That sounds like some liberal shit to me. Sound like some Democrat shit to me. Oh, you ain't down with the LGBT? Get out of here. Go with the Republicans. You ain't down with the Mexican immigrants? Go be with the Republicans. You ain't trying to raise taxes? Go be with the Republicans. Turn in your Democrat card. It's the same energy on both sides. Oh, you ain't going along to get along? You ain't sitting down and shut up. Oh, go to the other side. Go to the other side. You ain't down with the squad. You see, you niggas be gangbanging with this politics shit. See, I don't get down with that shit, bro. I don't get down with that shit, man. I don't get down with that shit. I'm a black man before anything, and I'm gonna defend the interests of my people before anything. Fuck a political party. Political party can suck my dick. Now let's continue. This person said, unbelievable, Byron. I used to respect you. Imagine being a black man and giving a fuck if a white woman respects you. Psh, I can't relate to that shit, bitch. I don't need your respect. Who the fuck do you think? Man, listen, bro. I can't be no Republican, man. Listen, my spine, I have a spine. That's the number one reason I can't be a Republican or a Democrat. I can't be like blindly following these political parties because I have a spine. I stand up straight, okay? I have a spinal cord, and it works. I have a medulla spinalis, okay? That's the Latin term for spinal cord. Listen, my spinal cord is intact. I stand up straight. My shoulder's back. You know what I mean? As a black man, I can't be getting down with these political factions in America because you have to sacrifice your dignity as a black man in some way, right? On the left, you got the white folks rebuking you if you ain't getting down with the ideology. On the right, you got the white folks rebuking you if you ain't getting down with the ideology. Bro, I'm not used to white folks rebuking me. I'm not used to that shit, bro. I didn't grow up getting bussed around by white folks, bro. Like, I can't do that shit, man. I can't do it, bro. I don't got the spirit of a slave, man. I don't got the heart of a slave, bro. I just don't. Like, I don't got what it takes to be blindly faithful to any of these political parties, man. I just don't. Let's continue. This person said, there are no African Americans, just Americans. God made us all different colors, but we are just Americans. You see, that's why I said the congressman right here, he's not a black man, because to be part of this political faction, you have to denounce your identity as a black man. You have to say, I'm not a black man. I'm not an African American man. You have to say, I'm an American. I'm an American. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian American man. That's the identity politics on the right. You cannot be a black man. You cannot walk in the door with your spinal cord intact, standing up straight, shoulders back. I'm a black man. You can't. You got to say, I'm an American. American. I don't see color. I'm a colorblind American. We all, God's children. That's the bullshit you got to run around saying. And I'm not going to say it as a black man. You see, I'm not going to say it as a black man. And on the Democrat side, they let you identify as a black man, but the interest, they only accept you advocating for black interests that does not rock the boat, right? That does not disrupt the current existing white power structure, right? At the end of the day, both sides are invested in maintaining the status quo, and the status quo is the political and economic dominance of the dominant ethnic group, which is the white Americans, the European Americans, right? That is their number one agenda on both sides. They both agree that we need to maintain the political and economic hegemony of European Americans in the United States. That's the one thing they agree on. Everything else they be battling, going back and forth, but that's the one thing they agree on. So you as a black man, there is no space in any of these political parties for the black man with pride and dignity, with his spinal cord intact. It is what it is. Let's continue. This person said, dude, what happened to you that you would post this? Please tell me it was a staffer that you intend to fire before the end of the day. I respected you. I won't foreclose on you being unworthy of that respect until I see how you follow up on this. You see, that's why I can't get down with this shit, bro. I'm not used to some white man telling me you lost my respect. Like, bro, I'm a black man, bro. Who the fuck are you? Like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm too arrogant to be a Republican, bro. I don't know, man. I can't. I just don't got what it takes, man. I don't got what it takes, man. I don't got what it takes to keep my head down and keep my voice low. Like, I'm gonna tell a white bad nigga, I don't need you for shit, motherfucker. I don't need you for nothing. Fuck out of my face. My net worth is probably higher than yours, bitch. Fuck out of here. Nigga, I could probably hire you. Weird looking motherfucker. Like, I can't do it, bro. I can't do it, man. I'm sorry. I'm too arrogant. I'm way too arrogant to be a Republican, man. I'm not humble enough. I don't got the humility necessary. I'm sorry. Let's continue. This person said,
all right. So for those who might be wondering, that's The4Kast. I've seen him. I saw Trigger Happy giving him praises earlier, saying that The4Kast makes great content, very good analysis on the Haitian Revolution too, and a Pan-Africanist. I've seen the name around recently. More recently, I've been seeing, I guess, him and Pan-Africanism Strikes Back is in some beef, some back and forth. I think Brandon claims this guy's a grifter like Tariq, blah, blah, blah. When I start seeing that bickering beef stuff, that turns me off from it. But it seems like a few of you co-sign his content, so I just subscribed. I'll check him out more in the future. Should be topic number 2 is when Republicans get a spine and stand up. Kevin Carey, what did you hear there? What was interesting to you?
Well, all them years you were there when this governor is doing all this bad stuff to black people, or just your parties implementing these restrictive ideas that's causing black people pain and economic pain. Now at some point you got your soul back, but it's too late. You're on your own. I mean, it was nice for you to speak up about the curriculum, them trying to whitewash the curriculum, but it's too late. I'm still gonna look at you suspiciously. Like there was a saying, right? Back to the first prompt about, if the Nigerians attack, and defeat Niger, the French would always still look at you as a traitor, and they will never keep you keep you amongst them. They would never trust you for you betraying your people. And that's why I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, I said, it's nice that he spoke up, but it's too late. It's just at this point for us in the world, we just gotta be doing our thing. You know, we can't really, the Democrat, Republicans, whatever. It's just at this point just a distraction. They're not gonna do anything for us. We just gotta do for ourselves. With that, I'll pass the mic.
I appreciate that, Kevin Carre. Oni, when the Republicans get a spine and stand up, what did you hear there?
Shit. Not, I don't know. I mean, look, we have to. I think black folk, like I said, politics. I don't even like. I personally like. I don't even care. Like, the white people are supposed to be serious about their politics. Politics is serious. You know, politics is really, really serious. The political parties are the two parties that have power in this country. You understand? Like, it's not like power is the most serious thing you should go aspire to. You know, we look at it like a game because, you know, we don't ever have no power, no way, no way. You know? But like this is serious. Like, so yeah, white people are aggravated by that. Like, why wouldn't white people be aggravated about it? You're only in their political party for them to get some black votes. Now, what I saw with like I said, this was Nefakari and this dude Brandon, and Brandon seemed all right. So I looked at his description, and he's like essentially the like it's probably like the curriculum probably not as bad as Kamala Harris made it out to be, right? And so a lot of the Republicans are going by that, you know, that line of thinking, that is that Kamala Harris made it seem more extreme than it was, and you know, maybe it wasn't as whatever, right? I don't know, I don't care, right? The point is, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go after white people because they are serious about power. You know what I mean? White people being serious about power is why they have it. You know, the trouble that we have is that we're not serious. Because see, if we were serious, we wouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying? Any black person, I mean, like if we were serious, we wouldn't even be here. Like, right? Like my thinking right now is, how soon can I get to Africa? That's all I'm thinking about. You know, day and night. You know, every day. I'm thinking, how soon can I get to Africa? Or even, how can I get my son with me in Africa? That's about it. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying.
Appreciate that, Oni. Buana, what say you?
Yeah, when I hear Nefakari, my young brothers, all my young brothers, Nefakari, Oni, and 4Kast, when I hear them talk, they so far removed from the plantation. Like, it's like I don't want to say anything because I don't want to say anything to have influence their mindset. They so far removed. It's like they playing a completely different game. Completely different game. You know, and it's like I just sit back and listen and I say, okay, nah, I don't like that way. I don't like that direction. He's gonna I don't even Brandon. Yeah, and I consider him to be my young brother too. You know, and his political philosophy is too, for me, it's too far right, but he's gonna come to ultimate conclusion like I have as well. You know, but I just sit back sometimes and I listen to these brothers and I hear that they are so far removed. You know what I mean? They're young, they're brilliant, um, they talented, they cocky, and they don't give a shit. And I think that is for me that is a good future. That is a very brilliant future to have because they see a paradigm that is completely off of the plantation, off of the scale of things. You know, only talking about going to Africa. He ain't even talking about American politics. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting to hear sometimes when they speak. But in terms of Republicans getting spine, I think that these brothers them are still trying to play within the barometers of left versus right, you know, Republican versus Democrat, and they doing it for their own respective reasons. They have not come to the conclusion yet of what Americanism is, and that's unfortunate for them. You know what I mean? If you don't toe a political line inside of America, you're gonna be castigated, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Either you play with us or you are our enemy. George Bush would say, either you with us or you are the terrorists. That's what he say. That's what he say. So keep up the fight, brother. But ultimately you can come to the conclusion at the end of the day that everyone is out looking for their own specific personal interest or group's interest. You know what I mean? So no matter what you do, that's gonna be the paradigm that you're gonna always find yourself back to. And these brothers have not yet come to that conclusion as yet. They will eventually, but not yet. They are not at the place where they could come to that conclusion yet, but they eventually will. See where they are and what the circumstance of what they in. They're gonna eventually come to that conclusion, as we all do. So I leave space for these brothers, these black men, for growth, because everybody deserves to grow and come to certain conclusions, and not all of us has reached the same place at the same time. So if I was in America, I believe in personal development. I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in doing for self. All these things are Republican ideas and philosophies and thinking, so they say. I believe in all these paradigms. However, if ultimately it's towards white nationalism and white supremacy, then that's where I get off of the bus. And some brothers would still want to ride on that bus. That's where I get off. And these guys have not reached that conclusion yet. And that's an unfortunate thing for them. But I don't really have so much to say about the internal politics of another country, man. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you for that, Bonnie. Your volume is dipping just a little bit low. Does anyone else want to add any last thoughts to this prompt? If not, seems like it's not. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 is women want a house built in exchange for chicken alfredo. I don't know, man. That's a quote. Then it follows, are there unrealistic expectations on men? This actually came with 2 links, both to Twitter. We grabbed the first one. I'll post it for you guys to see. So this is from J Lo, and the caption says, "Shit is ridiculous," with a bunch of laughing faces. It's a minute video. I'll play it like twice.
Wrong. I can cook, but I hate when guys ask you, "Can you cook?" Because can you build a house?
Can I build a house? Bitch, I just want some eggs. I got to build a house for some beef stew. I got to build a gazebo for some gumbo. I see why these young men mad at y'all. Build a goddamn house. Must be out your goddamn mind. Do you know how long it takes to build a house? You got to get the motherfucking foundation, got to dig a hole, septic tanks, rebarb, wood, and brick and shit, electric, plumbing, and some of you lazy-ass ladies lamenting over making lasagna. But you give a hard-working man YouTube, tools, and materials, and he gonna build a motherfucking house and kick your lazy ass right out that motherfucker.
I can cook, but I hate when guys ask you, "Can you cook?" Because can you build a house?
Can I build a house? Bitch, I just want some eggs. I got to build a house for some beef stew. I got to build a gazebo for some gumbo. I see why these young men mad at y'all. Build a goddamn house. Must be out your goddamn mind. Do you know how long it takes to build a house? You got to get the motherfucking foundation, got to dig a hole, septic tanks, rebarb, wood, and brick and shit, electric, plumbing, and some of you lazy-ass ladies lamenting over making lasagna. But you give a hard-working man YouTube, tools, and materials, and he gonna build a motherfucking house and kick your lazy ass right out that motherfucker.
He does make a good point.
Wrong. I can cook, but I.
This came with a second link, also to Twitter. Let's see what this says. So this is from Sade B. the sensible millennial wife. It says these cooking versus building houses comparisons always make me laugh because as a woman who actually learned how to electrically wire a whole house, do women really understand how much planning and physical labor goes into building a house from foundation to roof? So this takes us to Lotto's Destiny. I think Lotto's the rapper. And this conversation, this I saw, and I just shook my head when I saw it. I'll play this show. I'll play like twice.
I'll always be saying they want a traditional woman, like, oh, can you cook? Can you do it? You not a traditional man.
Thank you.
Be
Tell
a
them
traditional
again.
man. Is you even a breadwinner, boo? Sit down.
Anyway, thank you so much
Can
for
you
this
change
interview.
your tire?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Done.
Have you built a house?
Have you built a house, baby? Y'all want traditional women. Y'all not traditional men. Period.
They don't deserve a traditional
No,
woman.
you don't. You don't, boo. You should be submissive to me, actually. Always be saying they want a traditional woman, like, oh, can you cook? Can you do it? You not
Shut
a
up.
traditional man.
Thank you.
Be
Tell
a
them
traditional
again.
man. Is you even a breadwinner, boo? Sit down.
Anyway, thank you so much
Can
for
you
this
change
interview.
your tire?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Done.
Have you built a house?
Have you built a house, baby? Y'all want traditional women. Y'all not traditional men. Period.
They don't deserve a traditional
No,
woman.
you don't. You don't, boo. You should be submissive to me, actually. Always.
So when I saw that, this is the clip I originally saw. When I saw this, I just shook my head, and I think I reposted it. Oh, Black Men Fall. This is silly shit. Let me just say this up front before any nonsense begins. But this is silly stuff. I think my man in the first video had a kind of humorous take on it, but it's a real one. Men ain't really asking y'all to be all that traditional, you know. And the attitude in this video here tells me you'll just move the goalposts. If men were to go out today and learn how to build a house and all this old shit, you'll just move the goalposts because ultimately you don't want to be what men want you to be. That's basically what it is. Kevin Curry, what say you to all of this?
Yeah. You know what? I thought this gender war was over. I keep saying this. It's kind of too late in the game. I'm speaking for these last two women, these young women. They don't quite understand, you know, what's really going on in the world. I'm past this point of trying to argue with these women. I'm like, listen, if that's what you want to do with your life, good for you. Go on that side. I'm just about dealing with women, black women, that want to move the race forward. I can't be dealing with this kind of shit. I'm excuse me for cursing, but I'm just tired of this kind of thing now. I'm tired of it. Good for them. Let them do them. But I'm moving on, man. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. These are the kind of women you leave them wherever the fuck they are, quite frankly. Buana, what say you?
Well, I'll be honest. These women are professional liars. They're liars. You know, it's, let me say this. It seems like to get these women fidelity, you have to jump through hoops. You have to stand on one leg. You have to hold your hand up. And I say some, because I know there are women who's listening in the audience. That you have to start on one leg. You have to hold your hands above your head. You have to be able to almost perform miracles to get that fidelity. But here's the thing. I don't watch you talking. I watch you doing. Find out who these people and baby daddies are and see if they are doing the same things that they professing from a microphone. See if these people are miracle workers. They're not. They're average men. Some of them are substandard men. Some of them are the proverbial, and I don't like to use this term, pookies and ray-rays. And you see them in paternity court all the time. You know, what happened there? Where's the drop off there? Because who you decide to have the baby with and who you say you want to perceive as this ultimate man in your life for the future. It's a lie. It's a complete lie. But what is happening right now is the price of these Western vaginas, they're going down to the ground. Why? Because brothers are finding out, hey, I could find a woman who is as beautiful as these women are, or more beautiful than they are. They have jobs. They're hard workers, They have profession. Some of them have like top class profession in the so-called third world. They're brilliant people. They say, "Hey, why do I have to deal with this woman over here who's barely graduated high school? Some of these women can't even spell it. This is the truth. I mean to be mean. Some of these women them can't even spell, let alone read a book. So how do I expect them to even know how even to be motherly? They are men. They are men cloaked in women's garb. You know what I mean? They have removed themselves from the gender of female or womanhood, and they are men. They are competitors in the marketplace. Why bother when there are so many other alternatives out there? And many men are choosing to find alternatives. I don't want to deal with a mess. Even the president of the United States of America, President Trump at the time, he went to find an Eastern European whore to marry, and she's playing her position very well, very well. Why bother? It's a mess. It's a complete mess. Why deal with that? And some people say, well, okay, you have created the problem in the Western world, so you should be able to resolve the problem. There are some problems that's too far gone to fix. And this is too far gone. Why bother when there's so many different alternatives? And these women think that we have no alternatives. They're wrong. And the same women who protesting at a platform, a regular, average, bottom shelf white bride come into their lives, they quiet, they'll marry him and have babies with him, and they don't have to jump to the same proverbial hoops. They're liars. They're liars. Why is it that the black man have to do all these things, but bottom shelf bride only has to be a carpenter, and he can? You remember we had a prompt where Tina Turner, she married her limousine driver. This is the nonsense that I'm talking about. She married her limousine driver and left him all her money. So he don't have to jump on one leg and do all these specific things to get the fidelity of these women. But I must do the same things. You must be joking. You must be joking. Where they're all manifestations of different alternatives. And unfortunately, they're gonna go the way of Rome and Egypt. They'll become something that is a past bygone thing, or they're gonna marry their bottom shelf bride, or they're gonna have lesbian relationships, because no real man that I know about will be willing to be bothered with this. Why bother when there's so many different alternatives out there? But I'll leave it there.
Bravo, boy. I'm glad to hear what you said just now. Bravo. The problem is, and this goes back to men now. The problem is you have men who won't stand on their square, who will still give these women a go. Just happy to have one of these types of women in their bed. When these people are supposed to be shunned, ostracized, shunned, and marginalized from our main community. You're supposed to let bottom shelf bride take these broads out the game. You're supposed to say, man, go ahead, but you can't come back. Only what say you to all this? I know you're gonna talk some passport bro shit, but go ahead.
Damn, what the? I was just about to say, bro, I got this passport. I really look for that passport for nothing. No, actually, I would say this. So when I was in Africa, I'll tell you guys, y'all look, when I was in Africa, right? I wrote this brother, I said, yo, look at this, I got this banging woman, right? He was like, yo, you doing that passport board shit. And I was like, I don't even know what that is, right? I don't know what that is. I'm just out in Africa having fun, right? I come back, I start learning about the passport bros. I'm not gonna hold you. Some of them is losers, but still, y'all, not just y'all guys, but literally, a lot of black folk was on my ass about why you doing passport bro shit. And it's like, I remember this one passport bro. He was talking, he was like, look, some of y'all say I don't got, no, this one guy was like, look, man, when you talking to women in this country, you don't even gotta have game. And then some other dude looked like a lame-o, really. He was like, nah, man, game is the good thing. It's a challenge. It's this, it's that. And it's like, what's like we as black men really should, no, actually, I'll tell you all this. So the first brother who told me I was on that passport bro shit, he was just saying that. because he was on passport bro shit from way before. He was just trying to clown me. Y'all know who's trying to clown me anyway. But I shouldn't say that. But anyway, my thing is this, like real talk. Even like when I wrote my book Zubiri, right? Even in that book, he's basically about doing passport bro shit. He's basically like, yo, I got to go to Africa to find me a wife. Or I got to go to Africa to find me a woman. What I'm saying, long story short, is that we as black men, we are there pushing against the only damn movement that makes sense for us. In fact, I'll even say it this way. There was a sister from way back. She was like, she had joined a website, right, that pairs up black people with black people from around the world. You know what I mean? She was saying this like 5 years ago. She was like, oh, there's this black love website, this black Pan-African love, and what we're doing is we're connecting people, from the West with people in Africa or people in other countries, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying is that the good thing, like sometimes when there's a good thing and a good strategy, we shun ourselves. Even like I was about to say my passport, and it was like, yo, you go see the passport. It's like, no, my guy, that is literally the solution for black people in the West, particularly for black men. The way how the economy is functioning is that these women don't need you. And then the way how the economy works in Africa is that those women do need you. And you got to go where you're needed. That's one of the troubles with us. These women are telling you straight up, we don't need you. They are asking you to build them a house. You ain't got no damn land to build no house. What are they talking about? But instead of us saying, you know what, real talk, something went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Something went wrong. We let this white man give our women these jobs to the point where they don't even need us. Let's go build some shit elsewhere and go do something under our own land. Right? We there kind of like, we like, man, nah, man, we got to work with them. How you going to work with this? And so, yeah, like most of us, yeah, I'm going to say that, yeah, the passport is the freaking solution. The only thing that's going to be difficult about the passport situation is if you go mess with a woman while you're here. But I mean, I would say this, matter of fact, because before I even went to Tanzania, because y'all know I was not about polygamy. I was kind of a prude before I went to Tanzania. I'm gonna tell you this: what happened on the airplane when I was going there, right? I was telling this brother, he was an African American. He was going to Ghana. We were on the same flight. He was going to Ghana, and he was like, he was saying, I was like, yeah, man. Oh, you going to Ghana for 3 months? He's like, yeah, man. I'm trying to hide it from the winter. I'm like, I feel you on that. I'm going to Tanzania. He's like, yeah, good, man. You bring your son. That's great. I'm like, yeah, man. So let me ask you a personal question. I said, how do you deal with, being gone for 3 months, if you got a woman? And he said, oh, I got a woman in Tanzania. No, I got a woman in Ghana. I got another woman in Tanzania. I got another woman in Kenya. And I got a woman in America. And they all know about each other. And I was like, ew, you sick, man. That's just nasty. How could you have more than one woman? That's what I was thinking at the time. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, I'm finna do that myself, but still. At the time, I was like, ew, you're doing too much. But what I'm saying is this. If and the thing about him was that he was like, he makes enough bread where these women, they're faithful to him as far as I know, right? And, he provides. He's a provider. Okay? You got to chase the women you can provide for. That's what they're telling you. And if you can't provide for them, guess what? Still chase them. And it's like we can't get every woman, right? I can't get every woman. I can't go up to Rihanna and be like, Rihanna, come on, aren't I man enough for you? Of course I'm man enough for Rihanna. I'll probably give her the best sex of her life. That don't mean nothing though. I still understand if Rihanna says, I'm gonna overlook you for a billionaire. I understand if she says that. I don't mind if she says that. But there's way better chicks in Africa. Way better chicks, way more permissive, way more communicative, way better. No disrespect to the to the American sisters. What I'm saying is that there's a good number of great women. So just get your damn, like, just leave the fucking country. And I'll just finish with this. Honestly, there's other problems that comes with being in America. Okay? Even as I said, I don't even know if I could even go to Africa with my son. Those are real serious problems from being in America. So either black people wake up and get their damn passports, or just not just their passports, get their citizenship abroad, or they just keep playing around while this white boy is fooling them by poisoning their women on a daily. Poisoning their women on a daily, and we sit around arguing with them. Well, what you arguing with women for? That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'll just say this too, and I think I was going to comment on it, but Trigger Happy put up a post that I'll read, and this is where I'm coming from as well. Passport bro versus marriage protocol is how I see it. This is Trigger Happy 262 in the chat. He says, I think the passport bros aren't honest when they say they want a wife. They want cheap sex work. But traveling to finding a wife isn't bad. He says, to continue, I'm definitely a supporter of inter-ethnic black relationships, not to interracial. And lastly, he says here, citizenship bros versus passport bros. So that's my issue. And I've said this before, I'm not going to get into the whole thing about it now, but the passport bros stuff, the reason why I said it tongue-in-cheekly before introducing Oni is, yeah, I have a problem with passport bros, because passport bros tend to be on some, I went abroad to your country or similar country. I was able to flex a couple of dollars and got, I'm going to say it very matter-of-factly, but, was able to get a bunch of pussy in your country, right, that you probably wouldn't have been able to get because I'm a passport bro traveling with money, blah, blah, blah. I like the idea of, to Oni's point and to Trigger Happy's point, if you're going to go abroad for a wife, go and be serious about, getting a wife, which would mean you're going to sample around, sure, but you don't have to advertise your sampling. You don't have to talk about how easy it is in a geographic location, right? You don't have to do that kind of whole shit, I find. I find you could go there and do your business, be serious about it, and find you a wife. So this is why I don't like the passport bro whenever I hear that moniker used. Does anyone else have any comments on this topic?
But let me say, so yeah, I think Trigger Happy says, cheap sex work. Look, I think we have to just be clear as men. We have to be clear as men. You want sex. You know what I'm saying? You want sex. And whether you're, a lot of us like the other thing is this: the women in Africa or the women outside of America are marriage minded. Not just they're marriage minded, they want money. Not just they want money, they want security. See, the women in America do not need security from you. Or they feel like there are bigger fish to get security from. The thing about like men and money reminds me of that basketball player. I can't remember his name now, but I think he was messing with that lady, Mariah Millis or something like that, right? Think about their relationship. He's going after a porn star he saw on some porn site, okay? And he's giving her money, right? Money that we don't give women. That woman has a mindset of attracting a basketball player with big money. The thing is this: when you go to another country, like you said, you're pretty much that basketball player. Good women are looking at you, bad women are looking at you, right? And it's harmless for you as long as you keep safe, as long as you keep wrapped up around the women who are looking for money and the women who are looking for a longer life with you, right? But again, we can't we can't, like, we could say, hey, you know what, you just go there for sex. Yeah, I mean, look, if I had the kind of money where I could just travel for sex, that's one thing. And it's like everybody's perfectly fine with it when the basketball guy did it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's perfectly fine when the rappers do it, when Usher does it. Usher giving these fat chicks, you know, herpes or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's perfectly fine with black men using their, like, black men of higher status, if you will. Not higher status, but, you know, of whatever. Even when I was, cause I remember back in the day, I'll say this. I used to be like, yo, I could mac any woman, right? Or something like that, right? And my friend was like, no, I was teaching my brother in the hood about game, you know, about macking, about, you know, how to talk to women. He's like, you don't have to do that in the hood. You gotta do what's called peacocking. You know, you gotta just look like you have money, and the women will bust it open for you, right? And I never did that stuff. Y'all see how my hair look? I look like I'm, you know, I look like a homeless guy sometimes. But like, you know, I've always been about the game shit, about macking women, of course. But at the same time, we understand that looking good, smelling good, you know, acting like you fucking rich, you ain't looking like you rich, was an advantage in America. It's a way bigger advantage in Africa. Some of these women want citizenship in America or some shit. Some of these women want so on and so forth. Now you have to weed through the thing. And it's like, I don't blame no black man for having fun, because that's all, like, a lot of black men have fun. And unless we Puritans or some shit, and we're not, unless we Christians or some shit, why the fuck can't black men have fun? That's one. Two, yeah, you're going to go sample around, then you're going to try to, and then some of these women are really bent on marrying you. You discern that, you date them, and you so on and so forth. You're supposed to. I just don't know, but I don't know why we look at it like, oh, you're looking for cheap sex work, right? Like, that's what you're doing. That's what everybody's doing. Unless you marrying a woman, you're looking to get some cheap sex from her. Unless you're looking for expensive sex. I don't know. But most of us, we're human beings. We shouldn't be paying those type of way for no sex. But we're in societies where women need security and they want sex, and men want sex and they have security. And you could either and I mean, I remember some sister was whining to me. She was like, I know how some of you conscious brothers, all y'all want is free sex. You know what I mean? And really, like, that's kind of like what it is. A lot of us just want free sex, and then we complain if a dude wants cheap sex. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna leave what Chicken says, but that's pretty much all I gotta say.
I don't understand why people think that the so-called third world is a dumping ground for cheap sex. I mean, if you go on the internet right now and type up soft white underbelly, you would see women who are in the sexual trade in the Western
Oh, bro,
world.
you breaking up.
Can you hear me? 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, kind of now.
Okay, so I don't understand why people presume like the so-called third world is just a spot for cheap sex when I could get cheap sex in America. You know, if you type in soft white underbelly, you could see so many different women who engage in a sexual trade for what, $150, $50. I mean, you could get cheap sex there as well. So I don't know why they presume like the so-called passport bulls, it will take a whole plane ticket, which is money, buy a room, which is money, to get cheap sex when they could just get it around the corner in the United States of America anytime they want to. I mean, anytime they want to. And if I wanted to get top class vagina, all I have to do is go on Turo.com, rent an expensive car, go in South Florida, and play like I'm a millionaire, and I could get all the top class vagina I want to. You know, no money. I wouldn't have to pay nothing. Rent a room. So I don't know why they think that the third world, so-called third world, is a dumping ground for cheap sex when I could do the same thing with easy trick money and do the same things in the United States of America. I really don't understand why y'all don't think that you can get cheap pussy in America. That's a joke. That's a joke. But needless to say, I'll just leave it there. I'll leave it.
Let's hear from Real Black Gentleman on this. First of all, let's welcome Real Black Gentleman. How are you this week?
I'm good. I just wanted to, just put my 2 cents in as far as a prompt. I just added on to what I was hearing. Like, well, I mean, I would encourage any black man beyond a doubt to go to Africa and get as much as Africa as you can. These are like first generation African Americans whose people have never left Africa. I would say, go, young man, go and get all of the Africa you can get. Go back and take all of it. All of Look, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm not, look, nothing. Ain't no, as far as the women here, look, it's not about separating. It's all about, like, if you're going to go to Africa, go and get, go. Conquer the shit for your pick. Get all of it. I'm not going to, I could never say what a man could do in Africa as long as he's not robbing, raping, or stealing. You know what I'm saying? Look, go. I want to look. You know what I'm saying? Get your passport. Get. You know what I'm saying? Get a good. You know what I'm saying? Vessel. Go. And if you don't come back, that's a good sign. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we don't want to be as men saying that we have to get married if we go. This is not about bringing taint of the West. I don't like this idea that black people. It gets deeper to that. But, like, look, we are people. We are formed by our environments, but environments can change you too. Imagine, I mean, if a person who might have lived in America for 40 years could go to Africa and live there for 10 years, and Africa will transform that person. Period. I can say that without a shred of evidence to say that. But this the motherland. You're gonna the air is different. The plants are different. But the genes of all that environment is still in us, even after 500 years. It might, we might scratch and itch a little bit after about 5, 5 months or so, we'll be straight. That's all I have to say. I see these young women, you know what I'm saying? You know how they have those poison dart frogs on the Amazon are like really blue and green and yellow and just the most just bright colors. But if you touch it, you're a goner. You know what I'm saying? You got it. Bright colors in nature are always like a warning sign. You know what I'm saying? That's something that is, to akin to the whole puritanical thing. We can be colorful, but watch the color. Make sure it's not. You don't want this. Some of these colors are ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Black people should. It doesn't sit well with me personally. I'm gonna go ahead and yield.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I got
keep it brief because we don't need to rehash your whole argument from weeks ago. Just keep it brief for me, and move on to should read topic number 4.
I was just gonna say, I got free sex with the first one I messed with, and she was tight. So I just like, I think one of the things that we in the West, we're like, look, sex should be free. Because we have that free sex kind of mentality, and that's okay. But they don't have that over there, and that's okay. You know what I mean? They're charging their own men, and they're charging you more, and it just happened to be that it's still cheap, for you, but it's not cheap for them. They actually like, and a lot of them want you. I mean, I don't know what to say. A lot of you're a desired person, and all I can say is this. Matter of fact, just to keep it brief. These women are showing you that you are not desired here. So it's only a question of you're either like, it's a lot better to just be desired. And that's what Africa's offering. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that last part was the best part. Clearly, and Juana said it earlier, these women are liars. The problem with these women is that they are influencers of other women. And the problem with that is that America tends to export this kind of mindset as well, these kinds of things. So you want to be careful of it. If you're, you want to be careful if you're like in Africa, the Caribbean, try not to have this type of shit really getting to your women. But yeah, in America, they're making it more and more difficult for you to be desired here as a man. And so you will have to, or you should definitely exercise your options. You don't have to be exploitative and all that old shit. Be sincere, go do your thing. Whatever the practice is of the women there, go and indulge in it. I have no problem with that. Just don't make it look a certain way. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 4. Shooter Breeze topic number 4 says, is propaganda being used to divide black people, or is it being used to unite us? This also came with a link that I think takes us to YouTube. We're going to watch it, then comment.
Your next step, and it's a big one, is to get the facts. Well, is he a real American? Howard Butler was born in this country. He obeys its laws. He's a good citizen. Yes, he is a real American. The same can be said for Richard Cooper. So ask yourself whether the facts support the purpose. Do they support the transfer of feeling from real American to Mr. Butler over Mr. Cooper? No, I guess not. Well, that's your 4th step. Weigh the facts against the purpose and the technique. I think I understand. To know whether propaganda is good or not, whether it's true or not, I should know the purpose, recognize the technique, get the facts, and judge the purpose and technique by the facts. But when you want the facts about live political battle, don't come to a campaign manager. I might do it at that, but I will also go and see your opposition. Well, that's all right. Whenever you're tracking down propaganda, get as many different points of view as you can. You know something? What? I think that it might be interesting to make a really serious study of propaganda. I find it interesting, and there's plenty to study. Here I have just a few of the many books on the subject. You can read them. You can keep your eyes and ears open for little bits of propaganda. And, of course, you can study whole propaganda campaigns. Here are a few on which I've been gathering material. Hitler and Nazi Germany had a campaign of propaganda that ran over many years. Then there's a wealth of propaganda to study on the subject of Russia and communism. There's propaganda to study in our own American elections, national as well as local, and in many of the major issues on which elections often hinge. Well, if I don't learn about propaganda, it won't be because there's no way to study it. That's right, Chuck. Remember the techniques of propaganda and use the procedure we out is a powerful force. So powerful that your study of propaganda is important not only to you, but to me. The election was a victory for good government. It might also be called a victory for propaganda, but that would have been equally true if our opponent had won. But how can you study it? Well, you can begin by investigating the techniques of propaganda. Here, I've listed some of the main ones. Glittering generalities? What is a glittering generality? That headline you were quoting, a victory for good government. Good government is a phrase we use many times during the campaign. We said the mayor stood for good government and promised good government. But it's true, isn't it? What's true? What does good government mean? Is the mayor's idea of good government the same as yours? I see. It's a glittering generality. One of the best. There's another. Yes. And why do you suppose our opponents chose that phrase? I guess because everybody likes a real American. Right. And they wanted to transfer that liking for a real American to Mr. Butler. A day or so after that poster came out, I said in one of my campaign speeches, our opponent advertises himself as a real American. I say he is unreal, unrealistic. He is a visionary, a theorist, a dreamer. He is so thirsty for public office that like a weary traveler in the desert, he sees a mirage, and he is trying to sell it to you as real. There. Now, what would you call that? That's name-calling, visionary, theorist, dreamer. That's right. And those are very polite names. For my collection of propaganda materials, I've made a special record of part of one of Mr. Butler's radio speeches.
Mayor Cooper asks that he be judged by his performance in office. Very well. Let's ask him who was mayor when the municipal waterworks fell into such a state of disrepair that the whole town was without water for 2 days. Let's ask him. But no, let's not. It might embarrass him.
That's what we call card stacking. Cooper was mayor when the pumping station broke down, but it was the men in office before him who allowed it to get into such a rundown condition, and it finally gave way before he could get anything done.
And card stacking is choosing some facts and leaving out others and arranging them to suit your purpose.
Now, did you see our little campaign movie?
Yes, a couple of times.
Well, let's look at it again.
Land sakes. A body hardly has time enough. The house to clean, and the washing to do, and the men folks to feed. They like their chocolate cakes, too. But I do want to take time to tell you that I've known Dick Cooper ever since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. He comes of a good, respectable family, just as honest as the day is long. And he knows our town. He's one of us. That's why I'm going to vote for Mayor Cooper. And all my friends are going to vote for him, too.
Recognize the technique?
That must be what you call plain folks.
That's right. You'll find many versions of the appeal based on the common man, the man on the street, log cabin to president. Now let's look at the rest of the movie.
Yes, Mrs. Hamline is voting for Mayor Cooper. Her friends are voting for Mayor Cooper. Your friends are voting for Mayor Cooper. The people know what they want, and what they want is Mayor Cooper. Don't you be left behind. Get on board the Victory Special. Vote for Mayor Cooper and ride with him to victory.
That ending's easy to spot. It's the bandwagon.
Yes, the propaganda we've been talking about is easy to detect. But a great deal of propaganda is much more hidden, much harder to detect.
That's what's bothering me. Even in a small local election, there's so much propaganda. That poster, a real American, it uses a transferred device. Does that mean it isn't true?
Not necessarily. Evaluating propaganda isn't that simple. Recognizing the technique is one step. Another step is to know the purpose. What is the purpose here?
That's easy. To get people to vote for Butler.
Yes, to persuade people that Butler is the better man, to move them to vote for him. In short, to sell Mr. Butler to the voters. You'll find that the purpose of most propaganda is to persuade people to believe something, to do something, or to buy something.
All right. But it still doesn't answer my question.
No. Your next step, and it's a big one, is to get the facts.
Well, is he a real American?
Howard Butler was born in this country. He obeys its laws. He's a good citizen. Yes, he is a real American. The same can be said for Richard Cooper. So ask yourself whether the facts support the purpose. Do they support the transfer of feeling from real American to Mr. Butler over Mr. Cooper?
No, I guess not.
Well, that's your fourth step. Weigh the facts against the purpose and the technique.
I think I understand. To know whether propaganda is good or not, whether it's true or not, I should know the purpose, recognize the technique, get the facts, and judge the purpose and technique by the facts.
But when you want the facts about live political battle, don't come to a campaign manager.
I might do it at that. But I will also go and see your opposition.
Well, that's all right. Whenever you're tracking down propaganda, get as many different points of view as you can.
You know something?
What?
I think that it might be interesting to make a really serious study of propaganda.
I find it interesting, and there's plenty to study. Here I have just a few of the many books on the subject. You can read them. You can keep your eyes and ears open for little bits of propaganda. And, of course, you can study whole propaganda campaigns. Here are a few on which I've been gathering material. Hitler and Nazi Germany had a campaign of propaganda that ran over many years. Then there's a wealth of propaganda to study on the subject of Russia and communism. There's propaganda to study in our own American elections, national as well as local, and in many of the major issues on which elections often hinge.
Well, if I don't learn about propaganda, it won't be because there's no way to study it.
That's right, Chuck. Remember the techniques of propaganda and use the procedure we out is a powerful force. So powerful that your study of propaganda is important not only to you, but to me and to the world.
Yeah, sorry, for some reason, I guess it started in the middle. But that video is called Propaganda. They showed this to high school kids in 1948. Would they allow this today? So if you want to watch that again, by all means, you can. Real Black Gentleman, is propaganda being used to divide Black people, or is it being used to unite us?
Well, it's a bit of both. I mean, naturally, it's used to kind of like separate and sift out. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, once you're able to separate and sift out, you can kind of see the different types of groups. You know, there are people who respond, favorably to propaganda, and then there are people who respond disfavorably. Once you can kind of understand those camps, then you can kind of use different, propaganda angles to sift out and maybe merge other groups that are separate. And you know what I'm saying? So it's mostly meant to separate, but if you look at it from a different lens, it can be used to bring peoples together. If you know what I'm saying? You can kind of you can chase out the people who are disfavorable to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's definitely used to divide Black people. It's definitely used to cut against the grain of Black people and to try to, like, especially with mass demographics and mass understandings of people's behavior. People with AI, I mean, I don't know. I understand why Black people don't really talk about what I'm saying right now. Like, they can really like cut at Black people's demographics in such a way that we are just granularized into just like various pockets of people that in that it shifts depending on what domain you're talking about these people exist in, whether it be work or play or you know what I'm saying. That's how I feel. I think Black people, religion is full of propaganda. It's just logic. I mean, it's if you know how logic works and know how behavior works, you can kind of thread the line between logic and like instinct and stuff. You can kind of like make something sound good, but you know what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying. It sounds good, but once you really logically think things through, like with good governance, you know what I'm saying. Good government. What is good government? I mean, it's good. It's good. You know what I'm saying? Like this. People are talking about that in the 2020s. Good government. They talk about. Matter of fact, they talk about that in Africa. It's not good governance. Referring to the coup. Coup, not good governance. I mean, you follow me here, and that's how. I mean. Propaganda is, if you can, the nature of, people and their various understandings, younger people understand things better than older people may understand some things better than younger people, but still older people can be susceptible to propaganda just as easily, just as younger people. That's what I got to say. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Appreciate that, Real Black Gentleman. Is propaganda being used to divide Black people, or is it being used to unite us? In the chat, Azulism is out there. He says it's always used to divide. Kevin Conray, what say you?
I agree with Azulism. I really agree with that. From the day we were brought to this country or other colonies, it's always been used against us. From, hey, look, it's these big Black brainless brutes. All they're good for, is planting our field, building our houses, and that's about it. And all the women are good for is to raise our baby, like the mammies and stuff. They think all Black women, like for me, I started within these last 12 months, I've just been looking at a lot of historical like comic books, and you see it from back then. You know, there was a guy, I forgot the name, I think the one that drew Felix the Cat, where some black children had to say, listen, you know, the way you're portraying our people in this, you know, your comic books, that's not how we really act, and that's not how we speak, and that's not how we look. And he got very offended by it, that these black folks, especially these young black children of high school age, were writing and telling him what he's doing is wrong. The character, if you look at it, was called 8-Ball, right? It was like this typical, if you look at Mickey Mouse is the dead ringer for 8-Ball. I think that's what they put in. Let's look at the drawing. But the fact that he got so angry, like that character only lasted a few issues afterwards. But as I say, if you look at it, the propaganda has never stopped. If the propaganda had stopped and they were saying that, you know, we're going to uplift black folks, that's the last thing. You don't educate the people you're trying to dominate. That's a quote I heard someone says. You don't do that. You keep them enslaved mentally. You know, I can keep going on. There's so much examples, but I'd like to pass the mic here.
Appreciate that, Kevin Carre. Looks like I put up the wrong prompt. Is propaganda being used to divide black people, or is it being used to unite us? Let me hear from Juan on this one. Juan, what's it?
Yes. So I think that this video is a brilliant video, absolutely brilliant video. And it goes through the different processes of how to be effective at propaganda. And I think that some of the people, black people, who have been very good with the use of propaganda is, and I'm gonna use examples, Candace Owens. Candace Owens, the person we talked about last week, they use a definition or a term in terms of propaganda called card stacking, I think, where you just put certain kinds of information out there, but you leave other kinds of information out there. Like when she said that slavery was something that is common to all human beings, but she didn't say that chattel slavery is unique to the Americas. Yeah, I mean, that's card stacking. That's card stacking. Just card stacking at its base level. You know, when she says that black people need to get off the democratic plantation, so that she knows that plantation is a triggering word. Black people don't want to be on a plantation mentally. They go back to the whole idea of slavery. They want to get off of the plantation. So to get off the plantation, you must come closer to us. You must come closer to us. So she used propagandizing words strategically, because she knows that word plantation is a very triggering word to so-called her black audience. You know what I mean? So she would use like getting off the plantation, being a runaway slave, trying to get freedom. Where's freedom? Freedom is in the Republican Party. You see how that works? You know, it's just it's interesting how she used propaganda and backs it up with false information, card stacking, to bring any person who was watching her information to the conclusion. The only way I could be a free black person and be off of the plantation is to come to join the Republican Party. You know what I mean? We have to answer. It's baseline propaganda. Another person who was very interesting is Tariq Nasheed. He uses propaganda effectively too, but he uses Nazi propaganda. And when I say Nazi propaganda, he used the whole idea of us against them. Okay? Hitler used the idea of it's us who are the general sincere German people. We love the German line. We are people from the German line, and these are Jews over here. They are interlopers. They're outsiders. They're rats. They're giving them a name. It was the same way he used that analysis. He said, "Well, we are indigenous to America. We've been in America forever, but these immigrants who come into this country, they are tethers. They're trying to tether themselves to our country. They're not real Americans, even though constitutionally that's been decided a long time ago. Of course, they are American citizens, but he uses this whole us against them paradigm to enrich himself at the end of the day. And he comes to this janky hidden history museum with a bunch of immigrants in it. Needless to say, that's another matter. But he uses propaganda very effectively, you know what I mean, to enrich himself. So propaganda is useful, absolutely, to divide our people. For what reason and purpose? For some people, it's along ideological lines. You know what I mean? Because that lady is appealing to her paymasters. You know what I mean? Candace Owens is trying to get as much people recruited into the Republican Party as possible because she gets paid for that. Tariq Nasheed, his own is of personal self-interest, but he uses that effectively for his own specific reason. But propaganda is an extremely useful tool, and it has been used in particularly in the Western world to divide our people. Now on the internet is this whole idea of Pan-Africanism against us. Who this us is it's undefined, but Pan-Africanism are the bad guys, and us is the unnamed black masses who don't agree with the collectivity of black people. They never really define what Pan-Africanism is. They come up with a misinformation campaign for who they really are, but it's like it's us against them. It's just interesting, the paradigm. But propaganda, no doubt about it, is still being used in 2023, but it's used for different kinds of reasons with different kinds of people. But I'll just stop there and just leave it there.
Appreciate that, boy. It could be said also that Tariq is a Republican shield too, actually. So I get your meaning there. Now with some more passport. No, I'm just kidding. Oni, what say you? Is propaganda being used to divide black people, or is it being used to unite us?
I think you should get your passport now, Jack. No. Actually, what you said about the Tariq Sheet in the Republican Party, that's the wild thing. When ADOS first came out, this sister, I guess her name is Jan Aliwa, something like that. But Jam was like, yeah, you could do the campaign, you could do the you could follow the money. And if that was a Republican shit. Like the Republicans did in fact pay Yvette, and them surrounding this immigration issue, surrounding this ADOS stuff. Okay? Obviously, Tariq Nasheed said, look, they offered me a big bag to go against. He says this. I'm saying all this to say that, yeah, and that's why I was like, we go back to the first prompt. I don't know if it's the first prompt or the second one, but with The4Kast, politics is serious business to these white boys. Like, they're doing studies on this stuff. Like, this is from 1948. High school kids being shown, 67? No, matter of fact, 80 years ago, right? 80 years ago, the high school kids. So, like, when Joe Biden was in high school, he was learning, oh, yeah, we got to detect propaganda. Propaganda is useful. You understand? All of the politicians now, matter of fact, most of them, when they was youngins, they was watching this shit, talking about how to use propaganda to influence the people. Right? Now we looking at it like, what is this? Right? But in 1948, they was teaching their kids that's how important it was. Why is that important? And again, remember, 1948 means black folk weren't learning it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't in the same school. This is what they was teaching secrets back in the day. They didn't want to integrate the school because they was teaching secrets, right? Now they just teach secrets and secret. But now they just know you ain't paying attention to school. But what I'm saying is that yeah, yeah, when you say that they were shills, yeah, they were shills. Like we know this. I'm not gonna say about the brother right now is a shill. I mean, obviously he just seems like he bought into the propaganda, real talk. But yeah, people like the way how America is operating is that a lot of black folk are agents, paid and unpaid. You know what I mean? But there was blatant paid agents, and so yeah, it's used to divide us. It's also used to unite us under division. The whole, oh man, we don't like those other thing, and we're not going to vote for the Democrats. We're not going to vote for thing. I mean, look, Biden's not a great person, not a good president at all, right? But the whole, oh, blah, 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 and, blah, blah. A lot of it was financed by the Republicans because, again, power. I mean, because, again, yeah, power, when you're out of the presidency, when you're out of the political, when you're out of the Congress, when you're out of those positions, you don't have a say. We are so used to not having a say, we don't care. They care because when they have a say, they get to eat better. You understand? And that's all I was saying.
Well said. Well said. In the chat, Brother Bakari is out there. He says, peace and black power to KWAZ family. Make sure you guys check out all the shows on KWAZ Radio. I didn't do the midway promo, but check out Oni, of course. Check out the Harsh Rally podcast that's supposed to be returning in the fall. Check out Brother Bakari. I missed it last night, but he had his Blaze one up show last night, so check that out. Reach out to Tanzan and try to get her doing shows again. I think she is coming back, but it's taking a little longer than I thought. Reach out to the matron as well. Check out Cassidra Cheek. So check out all the shows on KWAZ Radio. Afro Native World, and I did see this too on Twitter. He says, Hotep fan, I posted on Twitter today how the disinformation / propaganda is about to get worse. They're gonna ramp that up for sure, especially around election time. You notice election time, and when there's rumors of war, that's when the propaganda is amped up a whole bunch. Does anyone else want to add a word here?
Yeah, can I add something to that? When you say it's going to get worse now with technology, there's something called deep fake where they can, let's say I can get your voice right now, record it, and I can make you say anything I want to say. If I get a video of you, I can do the same thing too. Your movement, and the average Joe will never know, right? There's a video, right, of Ron DeSantis, and there's it's going around TikTok where he goes, yeah, I'm going to do this, blah 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 blah, and there's some lady says, you will never get our vote. No one likes you, and then Ron says, well, if y'all like me, give me a clap, and only one person clapped. I fell for it the first time, like, what's going on? Then someone broke it down, like, that's an AI generated video. So yeah, we gotta start looking out for all this stuff to learn that technology. Either we use it in our favor or it's gonna be used against us.
Thank you for that, Kevin Curry. Yeah, I just heard a song where Johnny Cash was singing Biggie or something like that. So yeah, they're doing some wild stuff. Brother Bakari in the chat says, why didn't y'all come blaze with me last night? Trigger Happy 262 was there. We were listening to music. It was fun. Yeah, I missed it. I'll catch the playback tomorrow. But you guys make sure subscribe to Brother Bakari's channel because he's active. Click the bell to be notified when he's on. And check him out. Does anyone else want to add any last words here? All right.
Yeah, Brother Bakari, come on the panel for a minute. I want to speak to you for a minute. Come on.
All right. In the meantime, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5. Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 is there extraterrestrial intelligent life on Earth? This came with a link. Looks like it's taking us back to Twitter. On Twitter, there's a tweet from Pump that says, wow, a witness just testified in front of Congress that the government has recovered quote-unquote non-human pilots from UFOs. What a time to be alive. Let me see. I can't tell how long it is. Oh, it's a 40-second video. I'll play it twice, and then we'll discuss it.
It's who piloted this craft. Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent?
Okay, so I thought maybe it might have been a thread, but it's not a thread. Sister Raw is here. I haven't seen Sister Raw here in a little minute. She says them trying to, though, the heat off, to, I guess, throw the heat off of the many. Raw, I need you to write that a little bit clearer for me, huh? But she said, greetings to the yard. RBG in the chat said this is a farce. Afro Native World says there's a 2-hour video of this on NBC's YouTube channel. I did see some of it. Carl Hezekiah is there. Piece of Carl Hezekiah. He says maybe, but I think this is a distraction. So the prompt says, is there extraterrestrial intelligent life on Earth? Let me hear from RBG since he said it was weak sauce. RBG, what say you?
Yo, this is just, wordplay, like epic wordplay, yo. Like there's no UFOs, yo. I mean, the way the answers is just so is like each word. We talk about propaganda, right? You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand like the language, understand like parts of speech and all that good stuff that, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people don't really study in school, don't really want to break down the language that we're talking about. I mean, craft. Look, I'm about, you know what I'm saying. What I just put in the chat. I'm gonna just say it. This is the etymology of craft. Craft just means power, physical strength, might. A piece of metal, from, you know what I'm saying, that, you know what I'm saying, comes from the asteroid belt or whatnot, is, you can say that is craft. And if you have amino acids, which can be found, you know what I'm saying, out there, you know what I'm saying, in all kinds of stuff out there in space, the same kind of amino acids that, you know what I'm saying, make up people and whatnot. I mean, that's just weak sauce, Joe. They ain't talking about no actual humanoid types. So they're just using wordplay, yo, straight like that. If you break down each word and what they saying, and you understand what the words mean, ain't no UFOs. Period. Straight like that. I ain't gonna waste one more time talking about it.
All right, thank you for that, RBG. Kevin Carre, what say you?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Sister Raw and Kyle Hezekiah. This is a distraction. I call this as, again, propaganda, as the last person just spoke. This is propaganda. What are they hiding? I call this a red herring. Just throw it out there, like, hey, let the public discuss it. Oh, we have an extraterrestrial. Look at what's going on in like the past month of what's been going on in the world. Who cares if there's extraterrestrial? I don't think they want anything to do with anybody on this earth, man. Especially the U.S. And if the U.S. had aliens, you would never know. You would never know. I just call BS on this. I give this a thumbs down, man. But I'll pass the mic here.
Well, to you and RBG, Kevin Carr, you guys telling me y'all think we're the only intelligent beings in all of the many universes there are?
No, I believe there are more, other intelligence and living beings in other part of the world, and I would think that they have a much more advanced technology. I think they're here already and they're amongst us, but with more advanced technology. That's all I gotta say. But as I said, what this is going on, there's something else that's really, really brewing in the background that no one is paying attention to, or we're just overlooking at this point.
Hey, can I say, a lot of like ET stories are like, it's like a throwback to the old angels coming from heaven, yo. Hey, that's all it is. It's just a throwback to angels coming from heaven. You know what I'm saying? It's just a spin on you know what I'm saying, like ethereal stuff. As far as the question, like, do I think there's like intelligent, like, look, I mean, you got to talk about heavy physics. I mean, we gotta you gotta break like the whole like speed of light and like understanding like distances. Like when we see stars, we're seeing the light as it came from those points, those stars, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of years ago. So I mean, if some people, however people feel about this earth and how long it has or has not existed. Some people might say, the earth is 5 billion years old, right? So, I mean, it took so long for, so we're here right now, alive right now, so-called intelligent, right? So, like, if we can't see nothing within, whatever we see is light coming, it took the light that long to get here. I mean, I don't even worry about it. I personally don't. I mean, as African people, it'd be nice to get to the moon, yo. You know what I'm saying? To get on top of the moon and like, be there and take some of the moon rocks that have some nice position on stuff. But I mean, besides that, I mean, I see what these white people are talking about moving around in space. I'm not going to give them too much credit. I'm not going to underestimate it. I'm not going to overestimate it. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole movie called Elysium where all the rich people wound up in space and all the poor people on Earth. You know what I'm saying? I give it no credence. There are no ETs. You know what I'm saying? If ETs around and they see the black people getting treated and they so intelligent, they can't understand like balance within, a structure. You know what I'm saying? I have no time for it. That's all.
One more thing. He made a very good point about angels. If y'all remember, remember this episode of The Simpsons where they're building there's some site they're going to build a mall at. And they were digging up the ground and they found like a skeleton with like wings on it, and they were like debates for weeks. There's an archaeologist. You got to keep him in mind. He was like, okay, I'll analyze this fossil. So it was like, as I said, there was debate for weeks. So come to find out in the end, everyone's gathered at the site where the angel is, which is still there. All of a sudden it rose, right? It started to glow and it got pulled back. He's like, hey, come to this mall. It was like a big build-up. I said propaganda to advertise a new mall. It was about nothing. Take a look at that episode. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I appreciate that. Let's welcome in our boy Bakari this week. Brother Bakari, how are you this week?
What's up, man? I'm great. How about y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks for coming through.
Thanks for letting me up here.
What are your
first, go ahead. What's that?
No, I was just asking you, what are your thoughts on this? Say what you were going to say. Go ahead.
No, I was just going, first I want to explain what Raw was saying. They trying to take the hate. They are trying to throw the heat off of them. A lot of people know who they are now. That's what she was saying. Come on, man. You supposed to know. But that's what she said.
I got it, but it just was, it was a bit much to read each time. Go ahead.
I got you. Well, really, me personally, do I think there's aliens? We see them every day. What kind of aliens? The illegal aliens? But do I think there's other? Do I think there's other like different species of life like us? No, I don't. Do I think there's other intelligence on Earth? Yes, we see animals all the time. Animals are extremely intelligent. I just think there's some white people fantasy shit, and pardon my French on your panel, I'm sorry. I think there's some white people fantasy stuff and black people fall for it. It's just something to talk about, and it'll keep you going. And and in the black YouTube world, this is something that could very well start a debate series, like they would debate, is the earth flat? Azuli put in chat, the moon is fake. I know he's clowning, but in a lot of these so-called conscious black YouTube spaces, saying the moon is fake, and I remember this guy, they did a debate on milk. They literally did a debate about milk for about 3.5 hours, So I just think this is just something they doing. I've never seen it, so I ain't going around saying I believe it. And this is what I tell a couple of people. I'm gonna say this, and this I'm gonna close. I've heard people say they believe in other life out, you know, especially after the government said Elijah, somebody allegedly said Elijah Muhammad was right about the mothership. Shit, the mothership started, what they called it, the mothership was having baby. They were spitting out baby ships. Like what? Like what? It's just, to me, it's just funny. I ain't never seen it. So if you believe in these things, I tell folks, don't question nobody who believe in Jesus and Allah and the flying donkey to come save you and the sky cracking, because just like they ain't never seen Jesus and Allah and none of them, ain't never seen none of these aliens people talking about either, other than the illegal aliens. My bad. On that, I give the mic.
I appreciate
Brother
that.
I had illegal.
Say that again.
No, I'm not illegal. No, Brother Bakari, I didn't show up last night because my woman had she said she wanted me to pay her some time. So I mean, give me a next Friday. But yeah. I'll entertain the extraterrestrial conversation for a minute. I'll just entertain it for a minute. So on a scientific level, if intelligent creatures, species, or extraterrestrial will have the ability to be able to travel the seas of stars, right? To come to this planet called planet Earth. First of all, they would be more like thousands of years ahead of what we have here on Earth. Thousands of years, right? So they would see us like not only primitive, but we would be like apes to them. You know what I mean? We would be like gorillas, you know, so backwards in how we would do things. They would come here as conquerors, like Christopher Columbus coming to the New World. You know what I mean? They would come here as conquerors because their technology would be so far advanced. We don't even have the capacity to get to Mars yet. We still, trying to get to the moon on a certain level. You know, this is how far humanity has got. We ain't get to the ability to even go to another planet within our own galaxy. So if an alien has the ability to pass galaxies and seas of stars to get to the planet Earth, their capacity, their technology would be so far advanced, they would be looking at us like we are the new Arawak Indians. And they would only come here to dominate us completely. And we would have nothing to say or do against them. You know, so I think like Carl, like this is a complete distraction because the science don't back it up. It's nonsense. You know, why would they live among us? It's like, I mean, really, you know, they would be so far advanced. You know, but on a scientific level. But I think that
I think you're ascribing earthly attributes to a potential alien race. Maybe they're not like us, where everything means that you have to come and dominate.
That's true too. That's true too. That's an absolute fact too. You know, but I just think that their technology would be so advanced, they would look at us like hairless apes, you know, making human noises. You know, I think that just on the technology alone, they would be so far advanced. We would look like we are cavemen to them. You know what I mean? So this is the reason why I don't get in these kinds of dialogues, because I like to deal with issues and problems that we face currently here on Earth. These people going off on planetary discussions and ideas or whatever. Go give the Black Americans their reparations. Deal with that. Deal with fairness on that level. You know what I mean? Stop going to the stars and outer space. Deal with people on the planet right now and the issues that the human beings are facing on the planet Earth right now. Stop going off into the stars. It's nonsense. I feel like it's a distraction. I think that Joe Biden and them don't have nothing more to talk about and discuss. They ain't offering nothing. They're just trying to buy their time to go back into office right now. And I think that there are other pressing issues to discuss as opposed to bringing this whole idea extraterrestrial beings. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. How can an extraterrestrial being help me right now on planet Earth? Because even if he is here right now, he hiding himself. You know what I mean? He ain't improving existence here on Earth. Come on, man. Deal with the problems that exist here right now. That's the issue I have with these so-called councils and congresses that come together to talk about madness. It's madness to me. But I'll stop there because I'm rambling.
Yeah.
And let me say this right quick. The further proof, ain't nobody seen nothing. White people ain't went to war with them. If they were here, white people have went to war with them. They don't went to war with everything else they ain't know.
unless I'm just being that guy. Unless white people are benefiting from them, maybe that's the sci-fi in me, but unless they're benefiting from them, because a long time ago, Urzuli was on the panel, and we had a kind of a joke about it, like, what do these folks know? What did they get that gave them that advantage? I'm just saying, I'm being that kind of advocate. By the way, shout out to Marcus McGee out there in the chat. He's here. Buana's out there talking shit. I'm sorry, Azuli's out there talking shit to Buana. Of course, I said Sister Jose is here. He said he's seen a lot of extraterrestrials in Africa and the Netherlands. With that said, let me welcome in our boy Carl Hezekiah this week. Carl, how art thou?
I'm doing well, Coco. Hope everyone's doing well also. I'm kind of catching the tail end of the show, but this is an interesting topic. Now, I can't discount the existence of extraterrestrial life. The Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years across, meaning light years is a measure of distance, not a measure of time. So basically, a light year is basically the distance that light travels within a year. So just our galaxy alone is 100,000 light years. So that means traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 100,000 years to get from one end of the Milky Way galaxy to the other. And that's just our galaxy. So to think that there is no life out there, I can't say that without a doubt that it isn't. But has it come to Earth? Probably not. And this whole thing about UFO, it really is a distraction because Americans are really dealing with a lot of pressure as far as our economy, as far as our health, as far as the climate. It's a stressful situation. And this is really just a way to, hey, you know what, you can't afford a house. You can't save money for an emergency. The student loans about to come back, put a lot of people back in debt. But hey, as aliens, that's cool. That's something, just a distraction to keep people's minds off the real pressures and stress that we're under in this country. And if you look at the UFO sightings, most UFO sightings are where? United States, Western Europe. You don't really see too many UFO sightings outside of the United States or Western Europe. Every now and then they mention, you might see an alien, but it's normally white people who see aliens. America is just not that important. They only make up 5% of the Earth population. Why is it these extraterrestrial beings who come from across the stars only want to show up for white people? It's a mass psychosis, sort of like the Salem witch trials, or back in the 1930s, they did a radio reading of War of the Worlds, and everybody thought they were being invaded by Martians. It's not real. Any true evidence of any extraterrestrial life coming to this planet. Even the whole thing about the UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico, back in the 1940s. It turned out it was a spy balloon that was sent to spy on the Soviets, but they said it was the whole theory of this alien crash in New Mexico, and they got the pilots and whatnot. People watching too much science fiction, too much Star Trek and Star Wars or whatnot. At this point, the way Biden and the rest of this country is being fucked up, I wouldn't mind some aliens coming by. Let's see what they got to offer. Maybe they might have to offer a better deal than what we're getting right now. Let's see what the aliens got to say if they're really out there. But I don't believe it's really just a distraction from all the fucked up shit that's been happening and is going to continue to happen in this raggedy country. All right, thanks. I'll pass the mic.
I appreciate that. We got a couple people joining us. Let's welcome in Jose. Jose, what say you? How are you this week?
I'm okay. I'm sleepless, and yeah, I'm listening to all these brothers being sure that it's
Jose, I think you cut out.
a whole lot of it is in Africa. To start with, the Cape Verde Islands. My parents speak of Knilinga. That's how they call these beings, Knilinga, and it means shin. And Inge is like making it small, so it's small shins or narrow shins. And what they describe as being Knilinga is what the West describes as grays, right? So big heads, big eyes, a small mouth, and thin limbs, right? And they even describe abductions. They take you and they give you back, and you will never be the same. Is their description. Of course, Christianity has done some damage, and they parallel, or they compare it to witchcraft, right? But what they describe is exactly what grays are. That's one. That's not my personal experience. My first personal experience was in July 2008. A Palestinian friend of mine, the day before, was at anniversary, and people were not allowed to smoke inside. So the whole anniversary, there were people smoking on the balcony, joints and cigarettes, and they saw lights, or one light moving. Well, how he described it, it couldn't be a satellite, because a satellite makes one. Sometimes you can see it, and you can see them, and they make one line, right? And they move quite fast, but it's a teeny tiny star. It's the reflection of the sun on the metal or whatever, and it makes one straight line. And what he described was not one straight line. So that day that he was with me, in those days I was very depressed, and so he came to pick me. He came to drag me out of the house and, let's go skate. And it's a 20 kilometer to the beach and back. And so we did that trip, and on the way back, I saw a satellite. The sky was clear. I saw a satellite, and we are close friends. So I pulled his head literally against mine to have his eyes behind my pointing fingers, and he didn't see it. So he really was expecting something else. About 400 to 500 meters ahead on the road, there it was. You say, look, that's it. I looked up, and it looked like one of the largest stars came down in the time that you say whoosh. It was at about 500 meters above us, and I mean, even Einstein's theory of light traveling. He got a theory of light having a constant speed. Well, that day I saw Doppler effect on light. So as it approached us very fast, the whole area was like lightning white, right? When a lightning strikes, or a flash of a camera flashes, it's so white that it has a little blue in it, right? So that's blue is one of the fastest scholars in the spectrum, right? So it came down to about 500 meters, and it started slowing down, and it traveled like a small boat on high seas, so large waves, and a small boat. I hope you can imagine what I'm talking about, and it moved to whatever that it was, a concert or a drag race, about 2 kilometers left of us. So it stayed about 10 seconds above this event, and then it shut off. And how it shut off, it went red. So red is one of the slowest lights in the spectrum, and it looked like a square divided into 2 squares, into 4 squares. Excuse me. So there were 2 lines across, and the light was so bright I couldn't see if there was a craft or whatever. So it was a 2D. What I saw was 2-dimensional square, right? That was my first experience. From that day, it's a life-changing event. We expected the next day the papers, radio, maybe even television. We expected it. There was nothing. I mean, when it approached, when it came down, I mean, it was so bright. Even villages kilometers away were visible and had that white light on it. So we expected the next day to be, well, world news. There was nothing. But as it is a life-changing event, you keep, from that day on, I keep on looking upwards, right? That's one experience. Another one is in 2013. If you remember, there was this meteor rain for 3 days, right? And a friend of mine used to come and smoke at my home. He saw it in the news that there would be 3 days of meteor rains, and he proposed, okay, let's sit on your balcony and watch it, because I'm moved now, but I had a clear view, nothing blocking my view from one side of my balcony, and I have there's a how you call it, where planes land and depart, airport. I have an airport nearby, and it's only one runway. So planes approach at a certain angle, and the headlight doesn't flicker, right? If you see a plane up high, lights flicker, but the headlight doesn't flicker. So this light was coming at a different angle, and it took very long for it to arrive in comparison to normal planes. And so when it arrived, it was like it looked like a lamp that my parents used to have when I was a kid, that my parents used to have in the living room, and it's like a lotus flower, but the lamp was upside down, right? This thing was like a lotus flower. It was milky, like milky glass with lights pulsing inside of it. It flew about 50 to 100 meters over my house, right? It was about, let's say, 5 to 10 meters across. It wasn't that big, but at the top of it, it looked like Manhattan, right? It looked like Manhattan. There were things sticking out, but also horizontally. So not only upwards, but also horizontally. And again, it flew in the direction of downtown. And with I expect that not only us two were watching these 3 days of meteor rains. So we expected the next day to have more people seeing it. Again, nothing. Another one here in Senegal, in the south. I'm now I'm in Dakar business, and that one, it was in the south. So it was 2012. I was handing over a motor taxi. I had bought a motor. I was renting a house, expecting a lot of things with a girl, marriage and etc. And it didn't work out. But I handed over the motor to her, and I had to tell the guy that was driving it. And me and that girl was sitting like these in the village. These houses have like a thing around the house for various reasons, but it's like a bench. So me and the girl were sitting. This guy was playing soccer with a couple of friends, and there were about 8 of them, and a thing flew by, and it was not up high like these orbs that you see a lot if you look up. It was not like an orb far away, but it was quite close, and there was a form in it, and I stopped talking, and I said, guys, is that an airplane? They turned around, and all together at the same time they said no, and they started laughing out loud for saying that at the same time. I mean about 8 guys, it indeed it was funny, but they all stopped watching. I kept watching. A thing opened, right? It looked like the old Japanese flag, but with a little bit of a swirl in it, and it was not red beams, but it was like manga flames, right? It's excuse my description, but that's how I described what I saw. It opened, and it was like I saw another universe with stars. The thing went in, and that gateway, whatever, closed. And speaking of gateways, on the Cape Verde Islands, where these lights were seen a lot, that canyon is called Window, Janela. So I mean, these things. I watch a lot of scientific shit, and if you people know Nassim Haramein, he has shown footage of crafts flying into the sun, and his explanation. He's a mathematician, and his explanation is like these things use heavenly bodies as hubs. So Einstein has this theory that you can bend space-time, and instead of traveling 200,000 light years, you can make a small leap if time space is bent. So I am guessing that heavenly bodies are hubs where time and space come together. We live at the surface, so the event horizon of this heavenly body. So time exists here. We are locked into time because we live on the surface of a heavenly body. But if you live in space, if you are in space, not on the surface of a planet, what does time mean? I mean, what we turn the planet turns around the sun, the planet turns around its own axis, and all that makes time a reality. But if you are in space, what does time mean, right? So yeah, that's it. I believe heavenly bodies is where time space comes together, and I believe those things use heavenly bodies as hub. I mean, I can go on. These are just examples.
Oh, well, Joseph, I gotta go on to the next.
Yeah. Go on.
We only have about 12 more minutes. Let me welcome in Marcus Garvey. Is the way. I haven't seen you in a while. How are you this week?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? It's
I'm
good to
good,
hear
thanks.
everybody's
What's saying?
voices. Okay, I'll
Good
keep
to hear.
it brief. Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Koku, I agreed with what you said initially, where our concepts of their interactions with us would be like when one is explaining it, he's explaining it within our human concepts. So I agree with you that you got to think outside the box if you are thinking of aliens, in concept. And Jose, I do believe what you said makes sense. Like, okay, on a planet, yeah, you have time constraints, but outside of space, it's an interesting concept. Yeah, outside of space, time doesn't work the same because on Earth it's 24 hours, but then if you go on Jupiter, the rotation of the sun and the rotation on the axis is different from Mercury or whatever. So yeah, that's an interesting concept. Time varies from where you are. However, I realized I kind of caught y'all near the end because I've been catching y'all for weeks, but on and off. I don't think anybody mentioned this, but we do have people who claim to be aliens among us in Africa, and I think nobody noticed that the Dogon has said that they are not from here. So I don't know if anybody brought that up, but the Dogon said they were from Sirius B. They are able to tell you about the planet. So are aliens here? According to the Dogon, yes. I mean, they're old civilization. Our concept of aliens is, Star Wars, shiny, bright, glittery, turbo booster engines and warp speed. But that cannot be it. You get what I'm saying? Like, nothing is wrong with living in a mud hut if that is what your planet survives on, like living in tune with nature. Maybe every planet doesn't have warp speed and whatever. So if the Dogon came here and they didn't come with, laser weapons and all that stuff, and they claim that they came through basically a doorway, basically stepping through a doorway. If you watch what's this guy? Search for Uhuru. He spoke to the Dogon. If y'all can catch up on that, where the Dogon was explaining how they came here, at least in concept and mythology, I guess, or word of mouth, how they came to the planet Earth. So I don't think we should limit, as Koku said, our interactions with supposed aliens as just Star Wars concepts. You have to think of every planet as limitless. So our interactions and any possible life form should be limitless. I don't even think that water has ever and should ever be the only measure of does life exist. Again, that's limited within our confines of this planet. I never thought that made sense. Like, if there's life on Jupiter, we wouldn't know because we assume that there's water, but who says life has to have water? You know what I'm saying? So that's my contribution.
Marcus Garvey is the way I like a few things you said there. They've discovered someone has noise going on. Have to mute your mic. I hear pots and pans and all kind of things.
Oh no, that was ice in my glass. Sorry.
Okay. They've discovered what they call those again? A super Earth, I think they call them. And one of them apparently like one of these planets, like it rains diamonds and all this kind of stuff. So we can't hold or judge extraterrestrial life based on our thing, right? Like you said, there's limitless possibilities. The other thing you said, I think, is very important too. And this goes back to even the Afrofuturism discussions and stuff like that. This white man has constructed this idea of what space and all this stuff looks like, and it might just be something very, very simple. It might just be something extremely simple, like Jose mentioned, the folding of time, the folding of space that cuts down the distances and space and all that. It might be something very simple. It might not look like Star Trek or Star Wars. We have to open ourselves to those possibilities. But without further ado, Oni, is there extraterrestrial intelligent life on Earth?
Yeah, I highly doubt it, but right? I highly doubt it. The more I listen to people, the more I'm realizing, like, yeah, it just sounds ridiculous. The idea of like these extraterrestrials, like how many are there? You know, because you know when Buana was saying earlier about how many parsecs or how many light years you have to travel in order to get to Earth, you would think there would be a whole bunch of them. You know what I mean? Like you would think. Now, granted, not everything reproduces like we do, but in order to travel here, assuming they're not traveling faster than light, because you really can't, right? But assuming they're not traveling faster than light, right? They're taking, you know, thousands of years, right? In that amount of years, they should be reproducing, right? Not just that, you know, if we believe that, like Sister said about the Dogon and so forth, if we believe that aliens were here thousands of years ago, like, are they reproducing? What are they doing that they just kind of visit the Earth and pick up people occasionally and then put the people back down? Like, where does that even make sense tactically? You know, a lot of it is like you can kind of tell it's just ridiculous because it's like, what are they doing? Why are they waiting around the Earth? Why can't you see them on telescopes, right? But when you can't see them on telescopes, why is it that you could see them with your naked eye when they visit? You know what I mean? Like nothing about it really adds up.
I don't understand that part. Can you repeat that part? Can you explain that concept? Because I'm not understanding that one.
About not seeing them with telescopes?
Yeah, not seeing with the
Okay,
naked eye and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you know, because sometimes, you know, people, well, allegedly people can see them when they are like in the atmosphere, right? So the assumption is that if they're, so, all right, so space is huge, right? So they have to travel to Earth, right? But if they are traveling to Earth, like if they're constantly coming back down to Earth or something, right? They have a reason for being here, right? What reason do they have for being here? You know, the speculation is, well, maybe they're going to give us some, you know, light shows or some flying shows or something. I don't know. But maybe they're trying to pick up people and, you know, so on and so forth. Or other people say they taught us some stuff. You know, a lot of it is just, what are they doing? And if they are doing something, their ship and probably a whole bunch of ships are surrounding the Earth.
But we're assuming that Earth is important to anybody else.
You said I'm assuming that?
No, I said that. No, I'm saying conceptually, as humans, we think, aliens will come visit us and do all this stuff for us as if we're that important. We're only important to ourselves. I mean, for
That's
us,
what I'm saying.
we could be the equivalent of a raccoon in a garbage dump. You know what I'm saying? And they just look at us like, oh, look, it could go rabid, so let's leave before it attacks us. You know, like, we may be nothing or nothing significant in their eyes.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole point. So it's like, why is it that we, like, you know, because, you know, if you see the map of, you know, observers of quote unquote aliens, you know, it's like Americans and Europeans. But like the idea is that why are they seeing these aliens only when they're in the stratosphere?
Can I interject here real quick?
Yeah, man.
Real quick. I think in a funny way I think there's two conversations here. A hillbilly in Europe or America talking about they were abducted and anally probed. I don't put much into that. But I'm talking about me personally, I'm talking about the possibilities. Right? So I just want to make that clear. What I'm talking about personally is the possibility of things. I'm not really going by what a crazy cracked out meth head white boy here in America or in Europe is talking about. But continue.
Oh yeah. Oh, you look like you snuck up on Earth. What? But anyway, so yeah. What I'm saying is that yeah, I mean, it's just the rationale behind it's like, yeah, I think that extraterrestrial intelligence is a thing. I think that because the universe is huge, like huge, so obviously innumerable planets. The only thing is, are they visiting Earth and have they stuck around Earth, right, long enough for us to observe them in different eras of human history, right? The question is, why would they stick around Earth for thousands of years, right? And just be completely disengaged. You know? Like where were they during the Roman Empire? Where were they during the ancient Egyptians? Where were they during what during Darticket? Where were they during the Hatufan, era? Like, where were these things? Why is it that they only seem to engage the United States of America? You know what I'm saying? Why and how do they know, hey, let me go engage the United States of America? And then on top of that, like, it just becomes why, the technology.
You ever consider that black people could be aliens?
That black people can be aliens? Well, the thing is, black people
Oh,
are
Jesus.
black people are the ancestors of all the other people on the planet. And not just that. So it's like, if we were the extraterrestrials, then like everybody else is the extraterrestrial too. So it really just
not necessarily. I mean, white people lie so much about so much basic things. We look at the world through what they have told us. So supposing we were here, we were brought here, and that's why you were enslaved, because you weren't cooperating with them. I mean, come on, the Europeans are Stone Age people. They literally had to use black people to become better, to live longer, to eat better. Like they had to come to other people to exist better. So I mean, it's just concepts, because we don't know the truth.
That's the thing that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so in order to travel that far, the technology that you need is far more advanced than the technology of today, and far more advanced than the technology. And today's technology is far more advanced than the technology that actually enslaved us. So essentially, that would mean that we were this technologically advanced people 200,000 years ago, who left no evidence of this technology, right? But somehow 200,000 years later get caught up in slavery by some people who were
we had lamps, we had batteries, we had what they were called modern things today at that time.
Come again?
We had modern things today at that time. Remember when you look at the history in the Middle East and Africa, people had toilets, running systems, the concepts of batteries and all this stuff. Yeah, and then they acted like it didn't exist, and then they acted like a European invented this stuff after. So those things might have been the technologically advanced things compared to Europe. The rest of the world was more advanced.
Well, all right, there's two things to it. One is
then they took these things and put their faces on all this stuff.
Yeah, so there's two things to it. One is that they are like, those are not spaceships, right? That's one. The other thing is that people are alleging that they still see spaceships today. So it's like, it just wouldn't make any sense that it, like, let's say black people were aliens, right? That would mean that the aliens that have spaceships and have the ability to travel across the galaxy, right? They are the same demographic as us, but they're just kind of sitting by while we are completely unaware and unconnected from them. For what reason?
Because we became corrupt, like the Europeans. It's almost like we caught a virus, which is the Europeans. So why would they take us back? But again, it's all hypothetical.
Yeah, I know. I don't even think it's hypothetical. I feel like it doesn't make any sense. Honestly.
I want to chime. I want to chime in just a little bit here, just a little bit. Because maybe I'm on this Guinness, and I hear the conversation that I'm hearing. But let me say this, because Barbados making statements, and so did Jose. So I feel like I have a right to redress and ask these brothers and sisters questions. And these are only questions. These ain't meant to attack anybody on what they believe. I just want to make that clear. So the statement is on serious beat. That's the first thing in terms of the people I forget the name of them now. Forget the name of them.
The Dogon.
The Dogon people. Okay. So now I have to ask, since these people are from Sirius B, why don't they do Sirius B things? Like, wouldn't they bring some Sirius B food with them? Are they hungry for Sirius B food? Do they want to get Sirius B food sometimes? Why, when they have children, why do they do things like human beings, like, you know, women sleeping with men in a human act of sex to create children? Why they don't do like a Sirius B act? What do the Sirius B people do, and how do they perform the act of sex to create children? I don't know how that is. Why
But
do
you're
they
thinking
fuck
again
with
like
children?
Star Wars. I mean,
Maybe I am. But I have to ask a question though, Barbados. I have to ask a question because when you say that these people they say they came from there, right? They say they came from, no problem. But I
Yeah.
want to see in terms of their culture, their food habits. I feel like they doing a lot of the things that's similar to the people in the other African places. Why are they not doing things that's
when
similar
in Rome.
to the serious people when in Rome? Okay, that's the answer. No, that's the answer. No problem. No problem. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. So I'll move on to Jose's question because you say when in Rome, and I could accept that. That's the answer. So for Jose's
But
question,
one, let me say something right quick. Let me say
right.
something right. See, this thing about aliens and all that, man, they've been talking about this forever. I knew some of the Dogons say they come from Sirius B. White people and Arabs and ran them crazy too. I know they Dogons and they can be admired or whatever. Man, look, ain't nobody seen nobody from out of no space. And like I put in the chat, white people put their face on everything. So she done put black people face on the aliens. Come on, man. If it's just something you ain't seen, like me, okay, this is just me. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't believe it. I ain't never seen them. So then when they come, whenever somebody say they see it, it's always one at a time. Like only say, come and pick somebody up and drop them back off. It's always one at a time. It's always just like Moses went and talked to some fire at the bush. Man, you know, you go through the Bible, you can see a whole lot of this stuff too. The unicorns, you can find the people with the 4 faces and the 4 wings and the 8 legs and all that stuff. And they came down in a whirlwind, and they did the same thing in the Bible they did today. They came down in the whirlwind and they picked somebody up and took them off in the whirlwind, and they wouldn't see no more. Man, I just think people have an imagination that there may be something else out there. And if that's it's okay to have that imagination. Me, and it seemed like Oni, because I was laughing when he was talking, and it seemed like Bawana, we don't have that imagination that there's something out there, or maybe we are concerned.
But it's interesting that you mentioned the Bible, because I was thinking that most people who have a really strong Bible foundation will not think that there's anything else out there. You get what I'm saying? Because for us, we were thought, in 7 days God created man and woman. So nowhere in the Bible did they say God created, some Martians and some other things. So I think when you have a stronger Christian foundation, you are more limited in thinking that there's something else beyond. However, I don't think Europeans are telling the truth about the planets. When Koku said that there's a planet that rains diamonds. In my children's 3rd grade science book, I forget the woman's name, and I remember her name all the time, but right now I'm forgetting it. There is a woman who was hired by NASA who basically gives you scenario planets, and then they claim like it's real. I mean, come on, you imagine how easy it is to be paid thousands or dollars just to say, oh, there's a planet that's like Earth, but it doesn't have water. There's a planet like Earth, but the sky is blue. It's green. There's a planet like Earth. Oh, but dinosaurs still live there, because you can't prove it. So she can sit down and get paid to talk that shit. So yeah, she can say there's a planet that rains diamonds, because we will never, ever, ever know. So I don't think they're telling the truth on a lot of things. And no, I don't believe the Earth is flat, and I don't, but I don't think things make sense. Some things don't make sense. They can't show you the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, but they can tell you about Pluto. I was in elementary school when I read my first book on planets, and I was fascinated. And I remember they said, oh, the sun is 1, and they put like zeros. They filled up the whole page with zeros. I turned over the page, and they had more zeros to tell you how hot the sun was. And at the end of it, they basically said, well, you know, this is the hypothesis. We don't really know how hot the sun is. So when we read books about the planets and the solar system, a lot of it is hypothesis being put off as facts. When you watch TV and they show you planets, if you are not careful, you will miss the little sign on the left side of the screen that says that this is just a photo interpretation of it. So we're looking at stuff that they've shown us over the years and be like, oh, this is it. But a lot of it is just an artist's interpretation because they literally have no images to show you. Most of it is blurry. Come on, you can't even get a good camera to show you somebody stealing your car down the road until recently with the Ring cameras. Those are like maybe the best we got. They want to tell me that you can tell me what Jupiter? Come on. Huh?
Okay, look, I have an idea then.
A lot of it is hypothetical. A lot of the stuff we learn is hypothetical.
But since don't nobody believe, excuse me, don't nobody believe nothing the Europeans say, even though we repeat a lot of their stuff. Well, maybe we need to start building something to see if we can find the truth.
Yeah, another thing is, like you're saying, I think the problem is that you can't just say, hey, you know what, this guy is lying, so I'm going to lie too. Or this guy doesn't have any evidence, so I'm going to start saying things without any evidence too. That doesn't make any sense. You know, if I say, hey, you know, I think unicorns are real because white man's lying, like that doesn't make any sense. You know, I think dinosaurs are still around because white man's lying. Like that doesn't make any sense. You have to show that you have to show where you have these freaking dinosaurs. You have to show the unicorn. You can't just say, I think the white man's lying, ergo, there are unicorns here. There is a spaghetti monster. Ergo, there are angels among us. Ergo, we are aliens. Like it doesn't, like that's not how it works. You cannot fault somebody for not having evidence, right? And saying they're a liar. They don't
so
have
everything is hypothetical then. Then we work with hypothetical until you find proof.
If you're dismissing this guy, you're dismissing this white boy because he uses hypotheticals, and then you use hypotheticals.
Which white boy?
No, you say the white boy, the white man. All right, whatever. White boy. You say.
Oh, you're talking about him in general. Okay.
Yeah, you're saying the white man uses hypotheticals, and that's the problem. You know.
No,
you
I'm not saying he does. I'm telling you. I'm telling you in my children's 3rd grade science book because I homeschooled them. The book was literally telling you that there's this woman hired by NASA who basically tells you about all these planets, but they can't even get a camera basically past Pluto. They just did that like the other day. They had to leave the camera to float in space, to free fall, basically. So how are they telling you about other planets? How are they telling you about other solar systems when they basically at that time had no way of even telling you stuff that was within our solar system itself?
I feel you.
So how can you not tell me about? They can't tell you what's in our solar system, but they tell you about what's in other people's solar system. I mean, like, you know,
I feel what you're saying.
The logic isn't working out.
What are you doing? Like, how is your science better than his? If his science is crap for some reasons, how is your science better? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, first of all, you have to use logic, right? If his science,
if
he cannot see what's at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, what is he telling me about Pluto that I would need to hear?
I get it, but why are you telling me about Pluto?
I'm not telling you about Pluto. I say it's hypothetical. I haven't told you a thing about Pluto.
Yeah, but
I'm telling you by my logic.
What I'm saying is, he says it's hypothetical, and you say, "Don't tell me anything hypothetical," and then you come and tell me.
I said let's talk about hypotheticals, because again, if it was a hypothetical, I wouldn't have said black people could be the aliens. I'm saying let's explore hypotheticals because nothing you can prove is real. It's hard to say something is real.
Aliens if there were aliens.
Hold on. So let's start at that. So let's talk about hypothetical. That's a fair statement. So only say you can't use a white man science. No problem. Let's take him out of the equation. So the Dogon people said that they come from Sirius B, right? Now, I want them to explain to me, not using science, the white so-called white man, because science is science, as far as I can say, but not using that science. Explain to me, how did you come from Sirius B to planet Earth? And so far, all I've gotten is a story.
Yeah.
Well, what they would probably tell you is like a story.
Yeah.
So I want you to take that story and
Mm-hmm.
try to put that in a way in which I can apply that and try to attempt to go back to serious beat. This is the question I have for the Dogon people.
Yeah, I think that you go and search to Uhuru. He did a whole interview. It's been a while. I can't remember the details, but I know they did talk about basically stepping through something like, I guess, a Stargate, the equivalent. So you gotta watch it. He did a one-on-one interview in the village. So
Yes. No, I did hear it. But I want to hold on, Brother Bakari, because I gotta get back to this. Because I can't let Jose get away with it. Jose tell a fascinating story, He tell a fascinating story. Only one question I have for Jose, because I am not dismissing the story at all. I ain't saying that has not been his experience at all. Only one question I have, because when you say that you get together with your brothers and this happened, did this happen before you because all of us smoke ganja. So this happened before you smoking ganja or after? That's the only question. And it's a serious question. It's a serious, legitimate question. That's the only thing I would have to ask to that story you tell me. That's it.
So,
Hey.
so Jose is not. Hold on. Jose is not on the panel. He's out in the chat, so he'll have to answer that from the chat. I know Real Black Gentleman returned. Let me hear from Bakari, then RBG, and then final thoughts before I close out. All right, Bakari, go ahead.
Oh yeah. One thing that only said only Obawana when they said ain't no such thing as no white man science. Science is science. We know that white people have lied, but just because they lie, we ain't got to lie. I'm just saying. Only thing, and I was reading when Jose said in the chat the stories that been passed down, right? And I ain't talking about nobody, but sometimes people tell stories. What you can read what Africans. They also said it was a good way to tell a story using a myth. So because something is passed down and we should just believe it, there's no need to argue. There's no need to say nothing to these people when they say they are the Native American, indigenous, aborigine to the United States because somebody told them that and their story been passed down. So you see how a story, how a story being passed down, man, and sometimes stuff is just passed down, like shit. I could tell you some of my uncle's story, and like, because all of it, that's what it sounds like to me. My Uncle PC and Uncle Jesse, when all the family together, and they just making up stuff and everybody laughing. That's really what it sounds like to me when people talking about they have seen aliens and all that. And when I read the Bible and you go through that, and it's funny to me, like a group of black people got together, because that's what we do, and we talk noise, and we just started, come on, all y'all got somebody in y'all family, an uncle or a cousin or something, when y'all get together, gonna have some good stories for the family, especially after they done had a couple drinks, and they gonna be loud while they telling their story too. But y'all know that story ain't the truth. Y'all know that. And that's what has happened here. These stories ain't the truth. White folks done lied. We know that. But we ain't got to be the aliens, because they done lied about alien and alien technology and put stuff on TV and got people thinking, well, this is what aliens would be like. But Bawana asked an excellent question when he said, so what does people from Sirius B do? And you're like, well, we thinking about TV. No, we're not. They're just like me. I'm from Mississippi. If I go to New York, the stuff we do or the food we eat, especially when I was coming up, the music we listened to wasn't the same music. When we dressed up, we didn't do the same thing. A lot of them couldn't even understand me. So they come down here, step through the Stargate, and they just do everything that the humans from Earth do. They don't do none of their own Sirius B stuff. It's cool what they
well,
do.
keep in mind that African civilization was still advanced at the time, so you don't know what they may have contributed towards the progression of African civilization when the Europeans found us. So it's all hypothetical.
See, didn't nobody find us. We should stop since found us. They ain't found us. We wasn't lost.
No, but I'm just saying that when the Europeans encountered us, then they actually, when they encountered half the other side of the world, people were doing things that they didn't even think of, the basic things like hygiene and stuff like that. So who is to know? I mean, I don't know. It's hypothetical. I'm not going to swear on nothing. I'm just saying it's hypothetical.
All right, Real Black Gentleman, and then after that, we'll give closing thoughts to close out.
Yeah, like look, like astronomy, I ain't gonna lie, is my fucking wheel well. Like I get the stars and I get like astrochemistry and I get all that. I mean, look, anything I would say about that is speculative and just based off of, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, the Earth is a place. You know what I'm saying? Like, is life in the universe, could it be like Earth? I mean, if it's a place like Earth, yeah. If it's not, then it'd be something completely different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, biology, you know, revolves around carbon because it's light and it can, you know, it bonds with all kinds of stuff. Carbon bonds with hydrogen, oxygen, you know what I'm saying, nitrogen, and bonds with, you know what I'm saying, everything. And so like you know, the mix has to be right. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you measure, you know, the biology, you measure, you know, the chemistry and stuff on Earth. I mean, it's every place is different. I mean, you gotta have all the ingredients. So I mean, I don't worry about it. I don't think about life. You know what I'm saying? If it happens, it happens. If ET ain't pro-black, ET can go to hell. ET can catch this fire, and if they don't know what fire is, they'll learn. You know, that's all I got to say.
All right. So before I have everyone give their shout outs, close outs, etc., let me just say too that it's cool to have your beliefs, and you don't have to believe what someone else believes, but we should be respectful, especially when the thought is in the realm of possibility. That's my message to you guys. Let's start with Kyle. Kyle, what do you want to shout out this week?
Nothing I really want to shout out. I'll be with you guys next week. We are Africans in the discussion. We're not no damn aliens. We're not no Hebrews. We're no Native Americans. We're not no Klingons. We're not no Atlanteans. We are Africans. And the sooner we can wrap our head around that, the better we'll be.
I like that. Yeah, we're not substituting ourselves in anything. I appreciate that, Carl. Thanks for coming through. Bakari, what do you want to shout out this week?
First of all, thank you for letting me speak on. Thank you for letting me speak on your panel. It was a good discussion. Look, I didn't mean no disrespect talking about the alien shit. That conversation is fun to me. So I talk noise when I'm having fun. So it's fun to me. So if anybody felt disrespected, I don't know if Jose was talking to me on Bawana in the chat, but if anybody felt disrespected, the conversation was just fun. I didn't see that as I was not trying to be disrespectful. So I will apologize this time, but the next time we talking noise, because I was just talking noise, you know, even with Marcus Garvey is the wave, and I'm talking about the Dogon, they crazy and all. I'm just talking noise, just having fun. So don't let nothing I said about the alien conversation bother you. Please don't, because I was just talking fun, having some jokes. That's it. But you know what? I'm going to say this, something you were talking about earlier, and I went on here, I can speak, and you say, is propaganda used to divide us or bring us together? It's used to divide us. This is my opinion. It's used to divide us, but we could use that same propaganda to bring us together. We could use it to bring us together, but they want to keep us divided. Like we got people on here from these different places. You know, you got Oni on here, you know, Edie Yellow Jamaican, you from the Bahamas, you in Bawana from the Bahamas. I can't remember where Marcus Garvey is away from. I'm from the States. Carl from the States. Azula is scared to come up here when I'm here. But he from Haiti. Jose from Africa, the Netherlands, one of them. But we all coming on here together in a friendly way, having fun. So we could use this propaganda to bring us together instead of constantly arguing about if I'm FBA or ADOS or I'm better than you or down south is better than up north. And that's my take on that. But y'all should check out Our Black Business tomorrow, episode 19. I got to go through, make sure I have all my businesses and stuff that I'm gonna do. But come check me out tomorrow. I give the time 5-ish. I will be there, but yeah, Mind Our Black Business. That's every Sunday, and I talk about black business I try to promote I do promote black businesses and talk about black businesses. Then I continue to talk about how we need to shut down all of these East Indians and the Arabs and everybody else in our community so we can take the power in our community with community-owned business. Thank you for letting me speak, my brother.
Yes, on Bakari, my little statement wasn't directed at you, just to be clear. It wasn't directed at anyone, actually. It was just a general statement. We don't have to agree on a concept, but we should be, while disagreeing, we should be open to someone else's feelings on that particular topic. I think the thing that offended Jose was the question about the weed smoking. And I got to say, Jose, of course someone asked a question about when it was you saw this shit. If it was before or after. Of course, when I heard you mention weed, I was like, oh, well, there goes that. People are going to say, yeah, you were high and you hallucinated some stuff. So, of course, that happened. But I think that's what Jose was speaking about. He wasn't talking to Bakari. Thanks, Bakari.
I would like to respond. To clear the air. Jose, if I offended you in any way, I apologize. As Coco say that you always, doing some things. And I just was thinking, and that's how my mind works. If I personally offended you about your experience and what you experienced personally, I do apologize humbly. You know what I mean? I come to you as a brother and I apologize to you. It was out of line and it won't happen again. As far as Barbados, I can challenge you on certain days. I mean, you can't get away with certain days, but it's all love, sister. You my sister, and it's all love. But when we speaking, sometimes the conversation could go off. So if I did offend anyone, I truly apologize for it.
Juan, you want to shout anything out while you're up there talking?
Yeah, shout out to everyone who contributed tonight. It was a very good conversation. I learned a lot of things. I learned that our people can think outside the box and they have a right to think outside the box. So, sometimes I need to know when to be quiet, and sometimes I need to know when to speak. So, like I say, again, I apologize for the brother experience. It's no offense towards you and no attack on you, no way. So I just want to make that very clear.
Appreciate you, Buana. I'm trying to find that comment from Afro Native World. I put it up a couple of times, but he mentioned something about talk to the people from Uganda about their story. So Afro Native World, I can't find it right now, but when you have a chance, shoot me a topic, send me a video attached to it so we can discuss it more on the show. Marcus Garvey, is the way you've been gone for a little while. What do you want to shout anything out this week?
Yeah, I shouted out the Caribbean because I was there. I had a good time. The ocean is still nice to enjoy while y'all were here. At least, no, somebody's still in the Caribbean, right? Was it Buana? You're still in the Caribbean, right?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna be a hater. You still got it every day. I didn't take any offense. I think this is a great spot to exchange ideas, get other people's opinions. So I thought the conversation was interesting. I don't think everybody got to agree. And these are adults. We're all adults talking, so I don't think our feelings should get hurt that easily. Outside of that, the alien conversation I think is going to be interesting. Is very one of them topics that will always get people think. But once we agree that we're being oppressed, I think that's and the oppression needs to end. I think that's probably the most important thing, whether aliens are not are here or not, because apparently they're not helping us, and so we got to help ourselves whether the aliens are not. And I think that congratulations, Koku, is another year, and you getting it done. Sometimes there are 10 people, sometimes there are 100 people. I try to listen no matter where I am. Sometimes I can't listen to the whole program, but I try to catch the playback in the week when I do have time. So it's good to see and hear everybody still here and still doing their thing. So congrats and keep doing it.
Appreciate it. Marcus Garvey is the way. RBG, Real Black Gentleman, what say you? You have anything to shout out this week?
I guess I'll shout out the people in Niger, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, they clearly cleaning house. And I mean, coups and power struggles like that are never like pleasant, but you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you see the people saying that, you know, it's time for a new, you know what I'm saying? It's never opportune, you know what I'm saying? But you want the people to be, you know what I'm saying, to be taken care of. I see what Nigeria doing. Like Nigeria is so fake in a lot of ways. That's why a lot of people wanted to break up. So my shout out just for the good people in Niger, you know what I'm saying, who about their business, and you know what I'm saying, black power to those people.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming through, RBG. Oni, I think that leaves you. Oni, what do you want to shout out this week?
Hey, let me just say quickly. I think the whole conversation kind of went on a tangent because we were talking about the American who killed, who found a ship with a non-biologic in it, and I think that was obviously a lie. But tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about, how Europe underdeveloped Africa. It's a pretty cool series. It's an interesting book. I'm reading it, kind of a deep dive, kind of thorough, but that's pretty much it. And, obviously shout out to KWAZ family. You already know how it is. And that's pretty much the entirety. Thanks for having me on, man. And, thanks for, most of the people who came on.
Yeah, no need for the thanks, man. I appreciate all you guys who come through. I think I got everyone just now, right? All right. So with that said, we went a little bit over tonight, but 3 hours, 30 minutes ain't bad. I'll be back next week. Who knows? You might see me during the week. I might pop up on someone's channel, or I might do a episode on aliens during the week. Who knows? Make sure you check out all the other shows. Make sure you check out all the other shows on KWAZ Radio. And until next week, guys, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.